Right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Whiskey Dictionary. We are having a party, and there is just a ton of people here today. So I'm going to just introduce you to a bunch of people you probably already know. But let's go down the line. We got Chris from Bourbinsane.
How's everyone doing tonight? Good to see you all. Thank you so much. I'm Chris, Bourbinsane, as Bill said. Happy to be here. Thanks for having us, Bill.
Of course. We got Erik Waite.
Howdy from California.
That's very confusing, Erik. we got Jason from the Mash and Drum.
I'm not going to say howdy, but how you doing, everybody? Jason, Mash and Drum here. Thanks for having us on, Bill. This is really cool to collaborate with everyone. Thanks.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I'm happy to have you guys all here. We got Scott from Scotch Dummies.
I have been known to use throw around a howdy once in a while. So howdy, everybody from Kansas.
I'd be disappointed if you didn't. We got Bobby and Sam from I Whiskey She Wines, which is one of my favorite channel names.
Hello, everybody.
That's big talk coming from the whiskey dick.
Right, I know. Yeah.
Well, I can relate because my wife is a big fan of red, and I clearly, like whiskey.
Right. Well, this is Bobby. I'm Sam, and we are I Whiskey She Wines because I whine, I guess, sometimes. Maybe.
Just when Bobby buys $500 bottles.
Exactly. Just when Bobby, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little jealous of that, by the way. I did not know that you had bought that. I missed that. And
so I did have a sample of that, and I really liked it, man. I thought that was good stuff.
That's because you didn't pay $500 for it.
I almost did after I had the sample, which was from Matt. Matt sent me the sample. Yeah, I almost went out and bought one after it. Trust me.
And
we'll send you more.
And then last but not least, we got Matt from Whiskey Crusaders as well.
Hey, everybody. Usually I've also got a couple co-hosts on my channel, William and Sarah, but they're not here tonight because William is also a wine sommelier doing his real job tonight, which is at a five-star restaurant in Fort Worth. But excited to be everybody. It's my first collaboration with everybody, so I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah. Well, thank you all for joining me. I know I kind of threw this thing together like just last minute. I think it was maybe Monday when I reached out to you all. And I was psyched that you all were able to come. And actually, funny thing. So you've all seen the thumbnail for this, right? So yeah. I probably should have thought of what I was going to do before I invited everybody, because I actually picked one too many people and I had to just kind of put Matt's head floating out into space there among all the dog heads there. So if anybody goes back and looks at that thumbnail, you'll totally see he doesn't have a body underneath it. I've gotten a few really funny comments on that. People say that Erik Waite, his body and the head matched the best of all of them.
Actually, I think I lost a few pounds.
So here's the deal. We've all got just a metric ton of whiskey. So I'm going to ask the chat here, just generic bourbon, Scotch, Canadian rye, whatever you'd like. Just throw stuff out. Whatever gets kind of the most comments, we'll start there, and we'll all just pick what we've got. Mm-hmm. So I got a question. Actually, I had some really interesting questions while we're waiting for that. I put up a thing earlier today on my community tab there, asking people to kind of ask questions of all of us because there's so many. So actually, that was coming in a little faster. So we'll give this a minute. We'll pop open a bottle before we go into this. But there's some really good questions here, and I'm going to grill you guys all tonight because I think it'll be fun. Where Fireball is coming in. Yep.
Jaeger bombs.
You knew Jaeger bombs and Fireball was coming in.
Yeah. They're speaking my love language.
Yeah. All right. It's kind of looking like a tie between bourbon and Scotch. So because we've got a couple people on the channel who pretty much focus on bourbon, let's start with a bourbon. So I guess everybody just pick whatever you want, and then we'll pop it open and we'll just have a drink together. So.
I'm sorry, I didn't know we weren't supposed to start drinking yet. That's my fault.
I started an hour ago.
Nobody heard that. It's all good.
Yeah.
So we've been at distilleries all day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us about, you started kind of saying that.
Yeah. So this is why we were dressed this way. Like I said, we're a little derby themed tonight. We're going to do the Four Roses, the new one, small batch select. Yeah, that one.
It's Run for the Roses.
Run for the Roses for tomorrow. So I am dressed as I would be in the grandstand, and my co-host Bobby here is dressed like he's in the infield at the spring break part of the Derby. So today is the Oaks, which is the fourth race that it's all lady horses that race today. And this is a huge day at all the distilleries. So we decided to pack up and drive the hour south to Louisville, and we hit up a shit ton of places.
Yeah.
And we got some, I'll show you what we got in our haul today and some stories about what happened. But we hit up Heaven Hill. We went to Willett. We went to Barton. We went to Buffalo Trace. And then we went to Castle and Key.
Holy
How the hell are you still standing?
Y'all, we didn't fuck around. We didn't fuck around.
You're
No,
bored.
we didn't have to Uber back. That's insane.
I know, right? I'm surprised you made it to the stream.
You just got to hit Starbucks in between them, and you're fine.
Yeah,
Right,
that's
right.
how-
Yeah.
It's a little water and you're good.
So actually, we did go to Dunkin' Donuts, and as I was throwing away my receipt in the outdoor trash can, I also threw away my debit card. So that's how we started our morning
Yeah.
on our way to all the distilleries.
Or so she says. Hey, Bobby, do you have your card?
Yeah.
Well, you don't have to worry about somebody finding it and using it if it's in the trash can,
Right,
probably.
right,
So
yeah.
there'd be some homeless person digging, through there
Yeah.
and finds it.
Get some homeless person that really wants a donut. They might not.
Yeah, yeah.
Bobby, you've got like carte blanche to just buy whatever you want for the next like day or so.
Right.
Right. Right.
Ah, go crazy.
All right. So what did you guys all pick?
I poured mine first. Just a little palate warmer, a nice light one of my favorites, Maker's Mark.
Nice. Good solid choice for the start.
Yep.
I went with Benchmark 8, another light one just to start.
Benchmark Gate, huh? Well, I guess I'm the alcoholic here. I've got 115 proof carbon share.
You don't start with the heavy stuff, Bill.
Oh, I don't do anything but the heavy stuff.
All right. Well, I got the Texas Blue Corn Balcones.
Oh, you guys
Cask
are
Strength, 121.
Balcones instead.
I was already drinking the Balcones single malt rum cask.
Huh.
If I wanted to stay in the same family of flavors, close, not to script my palate, I might go with the Joseph Magnus that's finished in Oloroso and cognac cask because it has a savory notes, some little salty notes, and it's similar in color. But I just opened this last month, and it's almost.
You put a nice dent in that, Eric. My goodness.
Guess you really liked it.
Yeah, I like this one. It's great for breakfast, man. It's my.
I'm switching things up a little bit here. I'm going to go back to Balcones in my Balcones
It
Glencairn.
even looks a little like coffee.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome, Eric. I haven't had that one.
I am sipping on some Colonel Taylor single barrel. One of my favorite 11-year, 7-month-old bourbons.
Very nice.
So yeah, that's why this bottle from last year was one of my favorites. So it was really good. So 100 proof, so not too high, not too low.
Yeah. Do we miss anybody? No, I think we're good. So anybody else in the chat, throw up what you're drinking tonight. Anybody who's got Balcones? It seems like that's the theme of the night, at least after I changed my mind. So let's give a little cheers to all of you and to Whiskey Tube for giving us a reason to drink on camera.
Yeah,
Cheers.
cheers, Jack.
Whiskey tubing.
And just to let everybody know, I'm not wearing any pants.
And as I like to say, we do this so that you don't have to.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. Make the sacrifice.
Oh, man, this is so good. Balcones is just so good. They really now. So here's the thing. I only just kind of reviewed these guys, and I didn't realize that they had this whole thing before like 2015, before they kind of changed their recipe. Have any of you had them prior to 2015?
Yes.
Is it noticeably different or?
I think it's significantly better, the new stuff, than with the old stuff. We tried some of the older stuff in the vault, and I think the new stuff is way, way better. It just seems a lot. They've just put more flavors, more complexity, I think, to the new stuff. The old stuff just seemed more oaky. I think it's because they were using smaller barrels then, whereas now they're going to 53s. I think that's the big difference.
That'll do it. That will do it.
Yeah, I had heard that it was a little bit more oaky in the past, and that was actually what people were using as a compliment for, which, oak is good if that's what you want, but complexity is more fun, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Chris, what I haven't tried the one that you're having either. That kind of looked like a
So this is
a Jack Daniels bottle, honestly.
it kind of does, yeah. This is actually just Benchmark 8. So this is a Buffalo Trace product.
Okay.
And it's kind of their like baseline Buffalo Trace, but even this Benchmark now is now allocated from what I've heard. Like it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Every single Buffalo Trace product I swear is on allocation now, and it's frustrating because most of it's pretty good, you know.
And our store said it's going to double in price as well here.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it's because they're building like 8 more warehouses that are going to hold 55,000 barrels a piece.
They said they said today they're averaging building a new warehouse every month and a half.
Yeah.
Jeez.
They have
Well, why is
5
everything
done,
allocated
4 to
then?
go.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Goodness. But yeah, I mean, this bottle's like $12, so I mean, it's a really good value bottle.
Yeah, I mean, frankly, they make good stuff. I mean, kind of like you said, that if somebody had to be under that particular scenario, like they deserve it, but it just sucks because you want it to, you know?
Yeah.
Like I can't even believe it. When I first kind of reviewed Buffalo Trace, it was like within a few months or so, you know, a bunch of people were trying to get the bottle because I made it sound pretty good, and you couldn't even find regular Buffalo Trace, which now that's not so much of a problem, but the thought of that running out feels a little almost like they do it on purpose, you know, that artificially drive up demand. Who, I don't know.
I think they've got a great marketing team.
Yeah.
They do.
Very possibly. So, Bobby, I want to hear more about, well, Bobby and Sam, I want to hear more about your trip today.
So, okay, the only thing we planned for this trip was a Buffalo Trace tour. Now we figured, okay, we set that for the afternoon, and we were like, okay, we're gonna hit as many distilleries in the morning as we can, and in hopes of just looking for good bottles and stuff that you don't normally see out. And we hit the mother lode at Heaven Hill.
Yeah.
So that was where we started. So we got 3 bottles. So we got the Elijah Craig Barrel Select 125 proof, which
They call the grenade.
yeah,
It's really cute.
right.
Grenade.
We got the old Fitz 14 bottled in bond,
Okay.
and then we got the William Heaven Hill Barrel Proof 12 year.
Ooh.
So
nice.
yeah, it was a
Nice.
It was a
I'm
good
about to do the release of I got the Heaven Hill 16 year William Heaven Hill. So I'm curious what your thoughts will be on the 12. So that should be pretty cool.
Well, I'll be cracking it open in the very near future, and we'll talk about that.
Yeah. And when we got to Heaven Hill, like you didn't know, like there were no bottles out at all. And there was just a line.
A long line.
And so I'm like, I'm getting this mother effing line because something is going on in it. I don't know what we're doing, but we're doing it.
I'm walking around.
And he's
I'm like
scouring, like hunting.
and all I have is like mellow
And
corn and
like,
Elijah
regular.
Craig single barrel and like and I'm like, where are all the good bottles? Well, meanwhile, Sam's in line.
Yeah, because
and behind
woman
a
is
curtain
smart.
behind the counter, is where
And I'm
they
like, I don't even know. We get up to the front and she's like, what do you want? I said, what do you got? And she's like, I got this. I said, we want that. Oh, yeah, I got this. We want that. And I went, I'm like, okay. So
That would have been Sam. It would have been awesome if you were actually online to clean out the residual mash in the tons.
right?
right.
Like, here's your shovel, man. Go have fun.
That's pretty crazy, though.
Yeah, exactly. Like
She knew if it was behind the counter, we
wanted it. So, and damn it, we got it. So now we're high, right? We're like, yeah, we're gonna kick ass at every distillery we go to. So next we're going to Willett, which is a mile down the road. So we get to Willett, same line. We're like, we're gonna do this. The first lady's like, oh, the 15 years sold out. We're like, no biggie. What else you got? She's like, the 6 year. We're like, great. So we're waiting in line. This cute little volunteer guy. Bobby's got his Bourbon Breath shirt on, and everybody freaking loves that shirt, and they go nuts for it. He's like, Bourbon Breath's got to get a Willett 6 year, and so we're like, yeah, we're gonna get the Willett 6 year. We're waiting.
The old man actually went through and counted how many bottles they had, and then counted the people and was like, "You'll get one."
He's like, Bourbon Breath. We're like, yeah, we nailed it. We get up there. There is 2 people in front of us. They both get their bottle, and the girl says, "Sold out. No more to be given out today." And we just heads down. Damn it. So then we went on to Barton. There ain't much going on in Barton.
We bought some chocolate cream liqueur at Barton.
Chocolate cream liqueur.
There you go. Super exciting.
I'm
This
telling you, man,
is delicious,
they push that damn liqueur in there, little bourbon balls on you, like it's yeah. It's like, you have any 1792 this? You have a 1792? No, but we have our bourbon balls and our bourbon cream.
You can have some and try it and taste it. It's delicious. You
No,
can
like
put
this
it
is
in
the
there
only
with
place
food.
you can get it.
You can only get this here. You better get it. So
That sounds
we're
like a new shirt there. Bourbon breath plus bourbon balls.
right.
Everybody wants to
Big
start a
bourbon
channel
balls.
called Bourbon Balls.
I
We
would-
need-
I had bourbon balls once, but I went to the clinic.
Did they give you cream?
Oh man.
So I have moved on from the Balcones personally. It was a great little starter, and now I'm hopping back onto the Iron Root here. I think I'm probably drinking faster than the rest of you, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Nope. I jumped to
good.
1910 now.
Drinking fast is wrong. I don't want to be right.
So Eric, that is quite the collection of whiskey coins you got there.
Oh yeah. And eventually I'll need a bigger holder. I was gonna say bigger rack, but I've already got a large rack. I've got the Scotch. I think I might need a doctor about that. So I got the Scotch system. It's Scotch for Dummies. This one looks vaguely familiar here. And then beside I got a couple from the Crowded Barrel. No nonsense whiskey. I can't even. I'm trying to see where I'm looking. Then mine, the golden one, is right here in the middle, and Aquavita's down here. And then my bourbon journey, of course, is right here, out there on the back row. But
Nice. That's crazy. I love that you have the little shelf and everything for that too.
so I have 2 bottles of the Iron Root, but I have not yet opened these, and these are ones that were filled for me during my visit. But I'll be reviewing those one shortly. And I shot a lot of great video, and they'll be having the Licorice Brothers on within a couple of weeks as well.
Nice. That's awesome. Actually, I am very eager to go visit them. So I think I'm gonna end up back at the Whiskey Vault for the October thing, and I was looking because I was like, hey, if I go out a day early, maybe I can go visit the guys up at Iron Root. 6-hour drive from Austin, Texas.
Wow.
At least that's what it looks like.
It's 3 hours in a Dodge Challenger.
Okay, so maybe I googled wrong.
Hey, that Dodge Challenger didn't get you back to the airport on time, though, Eric.
No, that's a whole nother thing. And don't even start on that one. That's a whole
You
nother
did a great stream from the airport.
right, I did. But regarding Balcones, I'm going to have Jared Hebstead on next week on my channel doing a premiere with him.
Nice. You got some big names coming up there, Eric. It's almost like people respect you.
Yeah, I know.
That's so weird.
I'm trying to line up Ralphie, but he says no.
Yeah, that's interesting. I know he's done some stuff with Roy, but he doesn't really do a lot with other people. It's interesting. Guess.
And then I'm gonna have Josh Galladay on as well. I was looking forward to that from
Castrate.
Castrate, another Texan.
So, anybody move on to anything interesting?
Iron Root Icarus.
Oh, really? I was wondering if somebody was going to pull that out. That's the only one I haven't tried. That's like a thing they do anyway.
It's glorious. It's port, barrel, and peated casks. When they
Is that the new one?
Yes, the new one. That's the new one that we tried when we were there.
Yeah.
Mm.
Wait, which bottle is that?
Iron Root Icarus.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I don't think they're releasing it till tomorrow. So you're ahead of schedule.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, it's tomorrow.
Well, I know that one of the brothers usually shows up in the stream. I'm blanking on which one. So
Robert usually.
Robert, yeah. So Robert, good luck tomorrow. Good luck with the launch. Hope it goes well. So, all right. So, what's everybody drinking? Anybody drinking anything good?
Old Forester 1910 for me.
Nice. Have any of you guys tried the birthday, the Old Forester birthday batch? I think it's called.
Yep.
They're great.
What is it as good as everybody says?
This one right here, guy.
You dick.
Oh, yeah. Flexing.
Yeah.
I should
I'm flexing my bottles.
but
dick.
not from anybody else here.
What's that?
What
I
year?
expect that from Matt, because Matt has he's probably got 4 variations of
I've
that
had the
bottle.
17 and the 18.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Matt probably has about 40 of these, and then
Yeah.
I will say one thing about the Old Forester birthday bourbon from last year. Definitely the best one I've had personally. I've had about 4 or 5 different years, just different pours. Old Forester birthday bourbon always had this specific weird type of flavor profile funk to it that I never really jived with. But the 2018, it just doesn't go there. It stays really smoky and sweet and has some beautiful toasted oak notes, and it just gets better as it opens up. So.
Yeah, when I went to Old Forester, like must have been like 8 months back now, they were bottling the 2015, and that was the hardest thing I've ever had to do, was sit there and watch hundreds of bottles of Old Forester birthday bourbon go down the line. I couldn't touch a single one of them. That was awful.
So, have any of you guys ever tried or heard of Rabbit Hole?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have yet to open this one. I got this bottle sent, and yeah, I'll review it at some point. I was just curious.
That used to be my porn name.
That Rabbit Hole is the sherry cask finish, however, is pretty good.
Yeah, I would agree. Actually, the rye and the regular bourbon, I am not a fan of. It definitely tastes young. I mean, I think it has a ways to go. I think it could get better with some time.
Mm-hmm.
But the PX sherry finish, I think, does hide a little bit of that youth, and it's definitely pretty good. It's my favorite of the 3.
Mm.
So looking at this bottle and everything about it strikes me as it's probably MGP, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. I'm seeing aged and handcrafted casks by Kelvin Cooperage, which says nothing about making it. So, yeah, I'll have to get
it MVP.
MVP.
Yeah, man, bear, pig.
Man, bear, pig. Yes, half man, half bear, half pig.
So I love these guys here. This is MGP. This is Blount Brothers Distilling Company.
Mm-hmm.
This is their 12-year-old cask strength, and it's called the Old Fangled Notter Bourbon. The reason why they named it that is because they took not our bourbon, because it is not their bourbon. And they just said Notter Bourbon.
It's actually not bad.
It's not bad, and they're very transparent, which I loved. But this is actually really, really good stuff if you're into MGP cask strength bourbon.
Mm-hmm. It's fantastic.
So that actually opens up an interesting question. So fair enough if you guys don't have a good answer for this off the cuff, but have you had any MGP products that you felt are like, far above other ones that you've reviewed? Do you know what I mean? Like something that's a standout that's still from MGP, but whoever took it afterwards did something right.
Oh yeah. Isn't the Joseph Magnus source? Yeah. Oh yeah, that would be a clear example. And the fact that they age it in Washington D.C., the hive of scum of villainy, and yet still may produce a good whiskey. Tells you something, man. They're doing something right.
Yeah, I think
High West does some good stuff with their
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, High West is good, and even like the local distillery near me, Valentine Distilling, they have a really old expression of one of theirs. It's MGP, and it's really good. I mean, they blend really, really well.
Yeah, Sagamore is all MGP, and they make great stuff out of Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
But to be fair, Joseph Magnus is a finished bourbon. I mean, really, what's just giving it its awesomeness is the cask. Not the base spirit of it. I'm doing a little corking of the Iron Root Harbinger.
Oh, that's the one I'm drinking.
This is so it's aged 24 months, 121 proof,
121
ABV.
So yours is a little bit younger and a little bit higher proof than mine. So
right.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed what Boone County is doing with MGP, and also this company here, Old Carter.
Okay, that's good stuff.
They're really, whatever they're aging it in and how they're picking some amazing barrels. So it's just delicious stuff.
Nice.
I'm sitting on a bar stool and my ass is getting a little slippery on this thing. So if I drink too much, I may end up falling off.
Your rabbit hole's getting slippery.
Yeah, so not only you're not wearing pants, but now you're telling us you have ass sweat. That's great. Absolutely.
You know, pants would cure this problem for you, Eric.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pants are the answer to everything.
But at what cost?
But I have another camera under the table for another channel.
Eric's bourbon balls.
Eric's bourbon balls. Rabbit holes, bourbon balls.
Yeah.
Oh, let's not forget about Belle Mead too. What Belle Mead's doing? I mean, I know
Belle Mead too. Yeah.
they're distilling now and aging, but a lot of the stuff that they've done from NGP that they sourced, and they have a proprietary mash bill. But I mean, it's really delicious stuff too.
Yeah, that's another good one.
I've been watching the chat, by the way. So there's 120, or there were at one point 127 people in here.
Nice.
Just incredible numbers for tonight. I'm psyched that so many people decided to turn out, and I love the idea of bringing all these people on. I usually don't do hangouts because, as you guys know, like you can't do as much fun stuff with it like you can with OBS.
Mhm.
But it's awesome to be able to have so many people on at one time where we're all just kind of hanging out. I mean, Friday night is a good night to drink, and clearly the audience believes as much as well. So
What night of the week is not a good night to drink?
That's what I'm saying.
All good night.
Nights when you're not wearing pants.
that's usually caused by not.
I just never wearing pants though.
Officer, I would wear pants if I had any.
I lost them about an hour ago. All right, so I'm thinking that despite the bourbon that we've been dipping into, I think we should move on to a Scotch next. So
Hell yeah, let's do that.
yeah.
That's my life.
That's my life. Or, you know, we could be drinking beer and tequila and whiskey and wine, and you could have a real crappy morning.
Yeah.
At least I'm keeping it all whiskey.
You fucker.
Our most watched video by a wide margin was it was our second video, was Lagavulin 16 review.
You hate me. You hate your
Sam
life.
loves Lagavulin, so I thought tonight would be perfect to drink that.
All right, so if we're going peated whiskey here.
All right, yeah. If you're getting Lagavulin, I'm gonna get my Ardbeg over there.
Yeah, I've got the Ano and the Ugadale.
The question would be: is once I go peated, I'm not going to go to anything else because anything else.
You know, you got a really good point.
That's the only problem with this plan.
Yeah.
Although a boon of 12, you'd probably be pretty safe.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go 18.
I'm not going to go for the
18.
Yeah. Boone 18. Thank you, Scott, for helping me grab that.
Oh, you're welcome. That's a good one.
Yeah.
what do I want? There's so many choices. You guys at the audience can't see. I've got all of my bottles that were in my bar back there here because I had no idea what these guys were going to have, and I wanted the best chance of drinking something the same here.
I may need an Uber to get me to my bedroom after this.
Lagavulin smells like Satan's burning dick.
How would you know, Sean? How would you know?
Guessing.
It sounds like Satan's rabbit hole.
He lives at Eric's house.
I'm going to go with the Glencairn 12 here.
Okay.
If I was to keep in the same family of flavors, I would probably want to go Lafroig 10 cask strength. It has that meatiness to it. That's more of a savory character to it than a smoke bomb. It still has a smoke to it. It still keeps, in terms of relating to the Balcones and the Joseph Magnus, but not so much. I mean, I'm still drinking on the Harbinger a little bit. But if I was to keep in that family, that's probably what I would go for next.
Yeah, well, you brought up a really good point about the whole. Hold on, Chris is holding up a bottle. What was that, Chris?
I was just showing it. Boonahab in 12.
Okay. I was thinking about doing a peated whiskey, but you brought up a good point, Eric. That that's end game. Like I gotta stay with peated.
Right.
A good point. Good portion. All right.
I love this Scotch.
What'd you go for, Scott?
Since I had Maker's Mark, one of my favorite bourbons, I went with Macallan 12, one of my favorite Scotches.
That's my first love.
Classic right there. Classic.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm guessing just by the virtue of doing what we do, that you all have as many randomly branded Glencairns as I do, or at least quite a few.
Yeah.
Anybody got anything interesting? I mean, I can't. I love this little guy here. It's a Lafroig glass that's dipped in Maker's Mark wax.
Oh,
That is awesome.
that is awesome.
I have I actually have a Balcones one right here. So my Balcones Glencairn, and I also have a Sipper Social Club, Jeremy. I sip and I know things for
Just wait. It's not that
for a little Game of Thrones action. So I have a couple of other random ones upstairs from I do have a Maker's Mark one, but it's not dipped. A couple of others.
I have one from the Whiskey Scout and the Whiskey Shenanigans, formerly known as the Bourbon Shenanigans. So I have one from his old title on it.
Wow.
And then I have one that I got from the Glenmorangie Distillery. This little thing.
Oh, that's a copita. That's nice.
Yeah, copita.
I like how you took the time to pronounce that properly.
Glenmorangie.
No, the copita.
Like the way I say Macallan. I have to say Macallan. Even with L's in it. So even though you call people on your telephone, you have to say Macallan. But I got this one. I have this one. This is a rocks glass from the Macallan as well, from the distillery.
So we have a couple of random ones, but I have a funny one. So I have Angel's Envy doesn't do Glencairn. They do these. And Kyle Henderson told me the reason he did that is because his nose doesn't fit in a Glencairn. They're the same freaking size. If you look at the measurement, there's not a difference in the hole on a regular Glencairn with this. But he swore that this is why they made this, is because
He did. I never realized they were the same size.
Yeah, they're the exact same size. So I just have to laugh at that. And then I joined a Facebook group that's a bourbon one. That's Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, and they make their own. So I have a Tri-State Bourbon Aficionados Glencairn glass too. But we have a ton.
Yeah, the only ones I got is Garrison Brothers and Bruichladdich as far as Glencairns go.
Bruichladdich is pretty good. That's pretty solid.
Oh, I want a Bruichladdich one. That one sounds cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, they brought a ton of the house when we had an event with them. It was great.
So speaking of nosing, Sam, I know I've told this story before on a stream, but I'm going to tell it again because you guys are, you have to listen to me. So the Iron Root guys, they told me a story when I first met them about how when they're nosing their glasses so often that they end up getting a callus on the bridge of their nose. And I told them that like they're missing out on money here. They need to name a whiskey after this. And I mean, I get that their naming conventions are looking a little bit more Greek mythology, but or Roman, I think Greek. But God, they need to just name it like I don't know, Bourbon Bridge something. I don't know, Bridge Callus Nose.
The callus.
Yeah, McCallison or something. I don't know.
I think we all should collectively get together and design a Glencairn with a nose rest, so that
nose guard. Exactly.
Yeah.
Good point.
That would be phenomenal.
Or an airbag.
So that was
airbag. Perfect. Yeah. If it gets too close, it just explodes in your face with powder.
I can't
so
do that.
Let's see. I'm trying to keep some eye on the chat here, but it's a little tough. It's actually nice. There's so many people, but it's moving so quick. I'm not paying too much attention. But there's a lot of familiar faces in here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you all for being in here tonight. Sorry we're missing you, but we appreciate everyone being here. So
yeah, we're far more entertaining than you guys are. I'm the dick, right? It's like
true. I call you the dick for nothing,
right? Let's see. Are you going to collect questions from the chat for specific guests and yourself? Yeah, actually, you know what? If anybody has a question for the chat, just tag me and I'll see it because it shows up orange for me. And yes, that's orange, ARANG. So actually, this was one question that I did want to ask you guys. This came up earlier. Somebody was asking if when you guys are all kind of like reviewing whiskey, kind of doing your work beforehand. Like for me, I sit on the couch back there. I just kind of chill, stare at the wall, drink, nose, do all that stuff, take some notes. What do you guys do? Is there any process that you have, or do you just kind of like and write it down and then record, or do you just do it live on the stream? Like, how does everybody do that?
I have a 3 to 4 day process depending on the whiskey, depending on the neck. If something's really, really good off the neck pour, it might go a little faster. If something I think this needs some time, but I like to try a neck pour, try it in a rocks, try it on ice, try it in every way possible way that someone might want to try it. Try with a little bit of water, particularly if it's a high ABV, and then finally go. Okay, I got an overall idea of the whiskey and try it in a number of different ways, and then I'll do my review from there. And usually I can get all that done within 2 or 3 days per whiskey. And I'm putting out, I don't know, 4 or 5 videos a week. So that's a lot of consumption.
It's all practice and education, Eric. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I did notice that you upped your release schedule, Eric. You're kind of you're really killing it lately. You're doing a good job.
Yeah.
Well, I bring some bottles to my AA meetings. They help out a lot.
When you can get a lot of different opinions. So.
God.
So anybody else got anything interesting that they do? I actually was interested to hear your take, Eric, because I know with the whole wine sommelier thing that you've probably learned some more techniques than perhaps the rest of us have. But
well, I had to change actually my early videos, which make me cringe.
We all do.
It's completely different. It's almost like the difference between kicking in a soccer game versus kicking in a football game, or playing a jazz guitar versus the country or rock guitar. Yeah, similar skills carry over, but I approach it totally differently. So yeah, some skills carry over, analytical skills, and yet I had to learn. You got to approach it completely differently.
I like that. That's pretty insightful.
Yeah.
So it's rather. So if you give someone a glass of wine, here, try this, they can approach it pretty readily. If you're giving someone a glass of whiskey, you kind of got to go approach it like you would a bottle of perfume. You don't take a bottle of perfume and just go. You have to. It can become a little bit overwhelming. So it's. I mean, maybe a little bit of numb nose by now. You get used to it. But that's the main thing is you can't approach it as fastly or quickly as you do a wine. That's the main difference.
Yeah, I was gonna say for me, like I probably had a streak of about 5 to 10 videos where I was doing all uncorkings, like the first pour out of the bottle, and I just couldn't do it anymore because I would go back to those bottles later and they were so much better. Mm-hmm. And I just got frustrated. So I was like, no, I'm gonna have 2-3 pours, maybe a week or 2 weeks, and then do the review. And it just that seems to work better for me, at least for that. So
it's one thing that I appreciate about Jason's channel is if you look at his bottle when he's reviewing, you can tell it's already worked down a little bit. Jason may not mention it, but I can tell he works on it before the review.
Yeah, that's something I switched up. If you watch my earlier reviews, I would only do maybe 1 pour before I did it. Now I spend time with the bottle just to give a better indication of what it could turn into and if it stays consistent. Consistency for me has become a big benchmark for a whiskey. If it stays consistent or at least gets better from when you first open it, that's a big winner for me. So my whole routine is I'll sip on the whiskey for a couple days. I'll do my research on it. I write out kind of a script and I read it over and over so I kind of get it in my head before I do the video. And then basically after that, then I do research for depending on the bottle. Something new I've added to the channel is if it's a hard to get bottle. I'm very fortunate to sometimes get some hard to get bottles. So what I'll do is I do the research, or I'll try some other bottles that I have next to it to see what would be a good alternative if you can't find this one, the one that I'm reviewing. So I do a lot of that. There's a pretty good amount of time into it. I used to do probably more reviews than I do now weekly, but I feel like the time that I put into it now, it's just better for the viewer.
Yeah. Can I just say, do you guys just imagine if we didn't have real jobs, how good our channels would be right now? How much would everyone love what we're putting out if we didn't have real jobs?
I think about that often. Like it's not even close, Yeah. So actually, first off, does anybody else want to chime in on that? Because I actually think that's a pretty interesting question for me personally to see how you guys kind of do your stuff too.
Mostly, I just sit around for 45 minutes to an hour with it and let it hang out, let it see what it tastes like when it opens, let it sit there for a while and taste it, and just kind of sit in silence and check and see what it tastes like and smells like, and just to process over that time period.
We used to share the bottle. One of us would take notes, give it to the other one. They'd take notes on it, and it just got to where it was too much of a pain. Both of us trying to get it tasted, get it reviewed. If it's a new bottle, they were getting old before we'd even get around to them. We got to where some of them we've cracked right on camera. We taste it and give you our notes right there. Majority of them are either my bottle or Bart's bottle, and one of us has had several drinks out from it beforehand, and it's new to the other person. So that's probably the majority of ours now, but we're not taking notes. We're just tasting it right there on camera and giving you what we get.
Scott, I'm curious, how did you guys figure out your quick hitters? Because I know you kind of film them separately. Do you guys kind of have a schedule or have a hand in what, or you just say, I'm going to do a quick hitter and you guys just go with it separately?
Yeah, that's just a separate venture. And that started, we had so many sample bottles a piece, and we had debated. At first, we were just drinking them and enjoying them. And with the web page, we thought, well, maybe we could just blog about them and just put up a little written deal. But really, the video was just so much more in tune with us instead of, keeping everything on YouTube. It brings in more videos to the channel, and it kind of helps highlight both of us individually, because I'm the better one. And so, obviously.
Yes.
And, I get to spread my wings a little bit. Bart gets to really spread his wings, and,
play board games. Yeah. So one of the things I do, and you guys will probably notice this because I'm commenting on your channels, I'll do all my notes, do my whole routine, and then just before I record my video, I want to compare notes. So I'm sure Bill, probably Jason, Scott, you've seen me comment. I'm hearing myself. You hear me comment, "Hey, I'm checking this one," and then maybe you did it a year ago. You did now, but hey, Erik, comment on this video I did a year ago. That's because I'm just now getting around to what you did some time ago, but you probably noticed that.
See, that makes sense, Erik, because you often make me feel like kind of a piece of crap because I'm like, Erik's watching everybody's videos all the time, but it really is, because I'll notice I'm like, wow, he's watching something I did like 7 months ago. He must be catching up on my backlog, but that makes a lot more sense. It makes me feel less bad because I'm sure the rest of you guys, we catch each other's stuff occasionally, but we're, in our off time, we're writing episodes and we're filming and we're editing and doing all that stuff. So at least from my point of view,
Mom always did love me more.
So how about you, Sam and Bobby?
So I'll spend a little bit of time with it.
I don't spend shit on it. Every time I try something, it's right on air.
Sam,
there's not a camera in front of my face. I'm not fucking drinking whiskey. It's not there.
And our shtick when we first started was just basically watching Sam make faces.
Right.
So it made sense for her not to drink it beforehand.
Yeah.
And now
the face wasn't as good.
Now she actually, maybe like it or not, but she has a really she's really good at her nose and her palate at picking out stuff that I can't. So it's still interesting to see, to me, that when I set something in front of her for the first time and we just, as far as she's concerned, just go, and that she picks up things that I can't get spending time with it.
I've commented in the sommelier world, and people talk about a lot about biology, and then women have more sensory, or maybe more taste buds and so forth. But I tend to think is, generally speaking, don't want to overly stereotype, women spend more time paying attention to flowers. They spend more time paying attention to ingredients in the kitchen. And so if men spent more time, I know, Scott, you need to smell flowers more. Spend more time in the kitchen smelling things, you would be a better taster and better smeller. And smell flowers and perfumes and whatever.
And he's never cooked a day in his life, so this makes complete sense.
Hey, I did see a comment that somebody asked if you guys, or if you guys, I'm curious about you guys, will look at what the distillers' notes are for tastings and compare what you thought to that. I did beforehand when we first started, and I tend to stay away from it now, and then I'll look at it after the fact to see if I was close to what they thought.
So one thing that I do is so as I mentioned, I always, there's a couch back there. You guys can't really ever see it, but I always talk about it. It's like right behind this wall. And that's where I always kind of sit and I take my notes and do my thing. I always make my own notes first. And then just because I'm reviewing whiskey and I'm thinking to myself that if somebody's going to watch my channel, they want to know what they should pick out, I always do my own stuff. And then if there's something that I totally didn't get whatsoever that the distiller says I'm supposed to, I specifically even call that out in the video. I'm like, I didn't get this, but the distiller says that you should smell lilacs in here or some crap, and so I'll say that specifically, but I do usually look because I want to make sure I'm not missing something significant. And for me personally, it's a way that I learn. Like if I smell something I can't identify it, I'll go look at the distiller's website and see if they can give me some advice on what that smell might be.
But they're a distiller of bourbon. They gotta get ultra super poetic with it, and otherwise they're just posting the same notes on every one of their bourbons.
Without a doubt, yeah.
That's the thing, though. If you've noticed distillers' notes as the bourbon boom has gone on, you notice they've gotten real, just outlandish and detailed, and just stuff that this smells like the leather of an old man's shoe, and this smells like the lilac in a field of open airness. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Like from the notes, it's not like lemon anymore. It's sugared lemon custard dipped in caramel sauce. It's not I smell nice corn. No, it's buttered popcorn drizzled with garlic salt. It's ridiculous.
It's all bullshit. It doesn't matter.
I try not to. I used to look at them when I first started out just to see if I was getting anything. Now I try not to let it kind of I don't let it drive my my reviews too much.
The best notes are the ones that point out the burning pirate ship. Those are the ones I like.
Yeah. Jason, I think that's funny you say that because your reviews are exactly what you just described. You always go into such detail with food and caramel drizzled everything, and it makes me so hungry every time.
Yeah, that's because I did grow up around my grandmother just cooking and all the time, 24/7. And I actually learned from a few interviews I've done with some distillers that they said the best way to kind of train your nose and your palate is one, get to know one whiskey or one bourbon, or if you're a Scotch person, a bourbon person, pick one brand that you're in love with and get to know that brand in and out, every single expression, every single note. And then once you learn that, you could kind of venture off into different areas, and then you could really start picking up the differences in whiskeys. And then they also said to familiar yourself with food, taste everything you can, and try to, make it click in your brain and use your brain as a kind of a memory card, and just let it try to remember those flavors when you're tasting and nosing. And I'm sure Erik Waite, being a sommelier, has some maybe some different thoughts to that, but that's what I was.
No, exactly. The main thing I think people, particularly early, have a challenge is if you're in a room full of, you're at a party and there's 100 people talking, it can be hard to listen to one voice, and it sounds like everybody's shouting and yelling. But if you sort of practice tuning in to one person you're talking to, and then practice tuning in to not the person in front of you, the person on the other side of the room, if you can focus your ear that way, you can do the same thing, because we're used to smelling an orange, an apple, a flower, a pepper, not a melange of a gazillion smells. But whiskeys and wine are so complex. There's so much going on there. You have to kind of be able to shut some aromas out for a second so you can focus on one, and then sort of go down the list and look for fruit, spice, florals, and all the rest of it. And I think most people, they just go, I just get whiskey. That's because they're listening to an entire room shouting.
Yeah.
It's all deductive tasting, trying to find what's behind the initial smells that you're getting on your nose.
What an interesting comparison. So like when you have like a banana flavored candy and you try it and you're like, yeah, I mean, I guess that's kind of like banana, but that doesn't taste like any banana I've ever actually had. Some whiskeys, when you taste them, or if you smell them, you're like, that smells like a green apple, but not like one I've ever actually smelled, but that's what comes to mind. You know?
The Power Glove came out and there was no warning or anything. It just boom, there it is.
Here, that was magical.
I saw DJ Bacon show up.
Yeah.
It reminded me to take a minute.
I see your Power Glove.
The Power Glove.
Because I am inevitable.
Scott literally laid down the gauntlet.
I just got a boner.
Oh my god.
I knew the Power Glove was coming.
Yeah, no, the Power Glove. It's almost it says tried and true to my streams as the Booker's is. And that's,
only Scott replaced the Mind Stone with the Whiskey Stone.
There's the Peat Stone. There's the Sherry Stone. Bourbon Stone.
That's a good idea. I remember when Infinity Wars first came out, I actually really tried to time a bottle about like an episode about infinity bottles right at the same time and just never quite got around to it. But I was disappointed that nobody else had that idea because that totally could have blown up. But anyway, so I'm moving along to Highland Park 15, which I am somebody in the chat actually sent me a little while ago. And I don't know. Have you guys ever tried the 15 year in particular?
Yeah, it's good. It's also discontinued.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
So you're lucky to get one.
Yeah, for sure. I didn't realize how lucky until I opened it, and it's really good. Like even just the smell alone is almost worth having this bottle.
So Island Park will be my last distillery on my next trip.
Okay, nice. When are you taking that trip?
So I land in Scotland July 6th. I'll be there through the 20th. I'll be in London for 2 days. And so basically starting in the south, I'll be over in Campbellton, Arran, then the Speyside, the Highlands, and then work my way up to Orkney. And some of the tours, you actually get a special bottling from only the available at the distillery. So I'm looking forward to that one.
That's very cool. You get to do a lot of cool stuff, Erik.
I'm not paying anymore. I have money, and I don't have any kids in school, so I'm doing all right.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, Sam and I we're opening a new bottle. This is another one that we got today. This is we got from Buffalo Trace. This is the Blanton's Visitor Center Select. Ooh. So this is basically the Blanton store pick from Buffalo Trace.
Yeah. They should know.
I'm gonna do you, Bobby, because I have a brand new bottle of Blanton's Gold that I haven't opened up yet, and I've been waiting.
I wish I would ask because I got a bottle of Blanton's too here.
All right, let's get on the horses. Get on the horses.
Man, you guys keep making me pour things and then put it to the side, but I'm all right with it.
I'm gonna bet on the pony.
I'm gonna commit some sacrilege here and pour the Blantons into the Maker's Mark glass.
Go crazy.
Yeah, right.
Oh boy,
nuts.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. The Buffalo Trace marketing team is coming after your ass.
now I'm pouring with power.
Dickhead.
You know, there was a period of time where I tried to refer to my fans as dickheads. It didn't really go over well.
Tried.
That was long before Magnificent Bastards were a thing.
Dickheads and rabbit holes just sounds bad.
See, that's what we tried. We just talked about that today. Like something for us, it's like we can't call them whiners.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
You know.
I've actually been amazed at how many people have bought this shirt. Because like when I walk out and I'm wearing it, I'm hoping to get recognized. When other people walk out and they're wearing it, I just kind of am like, people are going to kind of question you a little bit.
It's because it's awesome.
Right? Actually, yeah. I noticed you, Matt, the other there was a picture I missed on Instagram that you were wearing one of my shirts, actually.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate you doing that for me. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, that was Iron Root. Yeah, when I was with Scott and Erik there.
Yes, and actually, the shirt that you're wearing right now.
Exactly.
I didn't even notice that. I think you've had your neck kind of at the
pretty much
this whole time. Nice. So actually, that brings up an interesting question: as who here has been recognized naturally out in the wild?
Bobby has.
Oh, yeah?
Believe it or not.
Surprisingly enough.
I know we're like the smallest channel here, and I was at my local whiskey store and liquor store, sorry. And I was walking out to the parking lot, and this guy walking in stops and he goes, do I know you? And I was like, no, I remember faces, and I'd never seen this guy. And he's like, are you in any of the local bourbon groups? And then I realized where his head was at, and I was like, I have a YouTube channel. It's really small. And he's like, that's it. That's what I remember. I watched you. I was like, oh, cool.
That's really cool.
I had someone say, weren't you on an episode of America's Most Wanted?
That beats Chris Hansen there.
Yeah.
I've been recognized twice, which is a weird thing. It's very weird.
It's very weird.
Yeah, I was actually at a lottery to try to win a bottle of Weller 12 here in Ohio, and this really nice couple came up to me and said, "Do you have a YouTube channel?"
Goodness,
What's going on?
What happened, Scott? Are you all right?
wow, that's me. Sorry, I tried to mute the mic in time, but it didn't work.
I thought a bird was attacking you, Scott.
Oh my god!
Yeah, it looked like a bat flew in the house. Jesus.
I thought
reached up there to mute it. And it just,
Yeah, no.
Must have been the Infinity Glove.
Yeah, this really nice couple came up to me and they said, "Do you have a YouTube channel?" And I said, "Yeah." And we just got to talking. And I was a little bit taken back at first, and then I was down at the Party Source in Kentucky doing some shopping, and I was behind the counter with Jonathan over there, Jo, and he was, we were tasting some picks before I was buying anything, and this person walked up to me, and not only did he recognize me, but he went and found 3 bottles, and he came back and he asked me for my opinion. And
That's awesome.
And then he left, which is pretty cool. So it was nice.
I had someone recognize me one time. They go, "Hey, don't you have a whiskey tube channel on YouTube?" I go, "Yeah, we love the whiskey dick. It's awesome."
As soon as Erik starts talking, like if he makes any sort of assertion, I know it's BS.
Yep.
That's always good. For me, actually, Scott, somebody's got to have known you at this point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, a few times. Yeah, just around town here. So,
I had a couple of instances somewhat recently, so I think it's probably only happened to me like 4 or 5 times. It's every time it's awesome, but like the last 2 were probably some of the more unique ones. So, 2 times ago, I was staying at the hotel actually that you and Erik, you and I stayed at. Back when we did that last
in separate rooms.
I don't know. There was a lot of
It's 2019. It's okay now.
Yeah.
But I was actually at that same bar, Erik, and there was this guy, and he was down the end of the bar, and he orders a Johnny Walker Black. And just, people ordering whiskey, I always kind of hear it. You pay attention a little bit. And I looked over at him, and he looked over, and he's like, "This is going to sound really weird if I'm wrong, but are you Bill?" Oh my God. So that was awesome. And then the last time I was out in San Diego was a couple weeks ago. I went into one of my employees. He invited me over for dinner that night because he knows I'm kind of like out there, nothing to do. And so I went to the liquor store to buy a bottle of red wine for, his wife. And while I'm shopping, I mentioned casually to the guy that was in the red wine section what I do and everything. He's like, "Oh, that's really cool, whatever." And so I decided to go over to the whiskey section before I left, see if there's anything local that would be fun to bring home. And all of a sudden, this guy comes running up, and he's like, "You're the whiskey dick." And I was like, "Hi." Yeah, he's like, "The guy, he just told me that, like, this is so cool. Can I get a picture with you?" So it's one of the coolest things. If anybody in the chat ever sees any one of us, like, never, at least I can speak for myself, never hesitate. It's very awesome. So
speaking of the chat, I'm meeting up with
Jack
of All Blades tomorrow and D Silv on Sunday.
Oh yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Jason, next time you're at the Party Source, let us know.
Yeah, we're close.
We'll do. I'm thinking of taking a trip there probably very soon.
Yeah, we'll meet you.
Bill,
there.
the best has to be La Quinta, though. You all got recognized at La Quinta.
Oh yeah, that was awesome. That was fantastic, actually. I need to book my room for that. Actually, now I think about it,
You should do that. That's important.
I should. Yeah, because I would hate to not be able to stay there. So one of the questions that we got asked, and this is such a general question, but I always think it's a good one because I feel like people's answers change pretty frequently. What's everyone's go-to whiskey and why?
Oh man.
Anyone brave enough to go first here?
Old Granddad 114. It's $30. It's high enough proof and enough flavor at the price point that I can drink it pretty regularly, and that's
you can answer that. I don't have that.
Yeah. I'm completely mood driven and season driven, so I don't have a go-to per se, but I have things that I'm in the mood for a while, and even like my music. Like for a while, I'll be listening to a lot of a particular band, Metallica or whatever, all the time, and for like a month, and then I don't listen to Metallica for another year. I'm sort of the same way with some whiskeys. I'm really, really into the particular whiskey for a while, and then I kind of burn out on it, and then I'll do something else.
Let's say, Erik, you're at a hotel and they've got a small bar, and you're walking up to it, and you don't see too many whiskey bottles, and you're thinking to yourself, please God, just have
Johnny Walker Black.
There you go.
That's a good choice.
It's one of the most ubiquitous, generally consistent, affordable, and so at a hotel bar, for example, that would probably be the one I'm looking for. If not, then a Mac. If not that, if I'm not in the mood for something a little bit of peaty, I'll go for a Mac 12.
Yeah, that'd be my choice, Macallan 12.
Yeah, and that's Macallan, not Macallan.
Macallan, right?
Yeah, Macallan.
You're not in the Twilight movie.
No.
Not the Cullens.
Cullens.
I've
know,
never
Colin.
seen any of them.
I'm hip to that.
So what about you, Chris?
Probably for me, if I'm at home, it's just going to be like a Buffalo Trace store pick.
Oh,
Just because
just a Buffalo Trace.
right now, at least they're readily available at the moment right now, so that's good. And one of my new favorites is the Old Ezra 7 barrel proof.
Oh yeah.
I'm really liking that one, and that one's actually come and gone well. Like I've seen it come and go maybe 3 or 4 times locally, so that's pretty good, I think. So hopefully it'll stay that way.
Yeah, I have that right here. Yummy.
It's funny
That's
that way because when Bill and I were in San Diego, we did like a 2.5-hour live chat, and then we went and had dinner, and we were both sort of scanning because we're eating at a bar at the table eating hamburgers at a bar restaurant, and we're both sort of scanning what was available there. And I was sort of thinking that same thing as, okay, if I came in here looking for a drink, what would I be looking for, and see what I would pick.
So I do want to jump in because Erik kind of glazed over that we were eating hamburgers, but I got to tell you about these burgers. These were one of the best burger that you could ever have in your life. It was like think of like the best bacon cheeseburger that you've ever had, and then put braised short ribs on top of it. Oh my God. I had it 3 times while I was out there the last time.
My mouth is watering.
Bill, you're getting my wife kind of hot and bothered over it.
For dessert, they had bourbon balls.
And rabbit holes. Yeah.
That's right. Now picture
Rabbit holes
Bourbon balls.
and rabbit holes.
now picture a bourbon ball with some short rib meat on it. Oh, now
But before you eat, you have to make sure they have one of those electrical artificial defibrillators just before you leave. Heart attack.
That's great. All right, so there was a couple of questions that came up actually that I thought were pretty good too. Now this one's tough. I honestly don't think I would have a good answer for this, but anybody got a favorite 2019 release so far?
Ooh, yes, Icarus.
Icarus? Was it? Yeah, I guess that you said that's coming out tomorrow. Yeah. I'm guessing that's probably going to be the only one we get.
no, I
gotta look my bottles over here.
yeah, I'm looking at my bottle. If I had to, I have a tie between 3 so far that I really, really loved. This Michter's barrel strength rye is absolutely phenomenal. One of the best ryes I've had. The Four Roses Small Batch Select, I actually thought was extremely impressive for the price point. So I was very impressed with that one. I really enjoyed it. But this whiskey right here, this is a new whiskey company, Foregate.
I
That's a good one.
Yeah.
They are coming out with some. This was their first batch that they released. It's a very interesting cask finish. It's a straight bourbon whiskey that was finished in sherry casks that were holding rum. And once they took the rum out, they started aging their bourbon in it, and it has such a unique and amazing flavor to it. It smells like George T. Stagg, but finishes like an amped up. I don't know.
Don't say Blanton's because I'm gonna have to go buy it.
Oh, yeah, no.
Okay.
No, I wouldn't say Blanton's. It's got a sweeter finish to it because of that rum and cherry.
Mm-hmm.
So if you kind of took that Joseph Magnus type aspect to it, but it's got this finish on it that tastes like roasted figs drizzled with honey. It's amazing.
That sounds really good, man. All right. Is that available widely or?
Unfortunately,
There's 600.
Unfortunately, it's only available in Kentucky. It's only 600 bottles. I'm probably not going to review it just because of the hard to get aspect of it. But if any of you have any access to that 4-gate, it's unreal.
Yeah, it's awesome. Sorry you can't get it.
We tried it and we loved it.
That would be the end of my review, and I would just mic drop. This is amazing. You can't get it. Bye.
This is the shit.
We're putting our review of it out on Monday.
Yeah.
We're actually Sunday. We're doing a live stream with Bill Straub, the chief blending officer with 4-gate.
Oh,
Really?
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, he's gonna be happy that we were just talking about it then.
3:00 Central Time.
Yeah, Scott from my bourbon journey, actually, who couldn't make it, unfortunately, tonight. He had the two guys on, and they were really talking about some really interesting stuff they're doing, especially their second batch coming up. They said that they're using something that's completely, utterly unique, and so I'm really excited to kind of find out what that's going to be. So,
honestly, I'm a little happy that he didn't show up because I have no idea where I would have put his head. So.
By the guy with no
It
pants.
took me almost an hour to make that picture.
A 2019 release that's growing on me.
The drum.
It's one of the most. It's probably one of the most controversial. I'm liking it more. Scott and Bart really liked it. I think Jason was sort of on the fence about it. Chris, did you?
I've grown more to like it as it's gone down. I really have. The more of that sweetness is coming out, you just got to give it some time.
Right.
That drum is amazing. It's really good stuff.
It's really good.
Now, so here's a question for you guys that have had the drum and the grooves. I was not a huge fan of the grooves.
The committee release or the regular?
What was that?
The committee release or the regular one?
Regular.
Okay.
I had both actually. There's a place near me I've talked about a few times, Julio's Liquors, and it's like a really, really, really nice, especially for whiskey, but they do wine and everything too. Really nice liquor store, and they tend to get a lot of stuff first, at least in this area of the country. Of course, I still can't get a bottle of the Four Roses Select barrel. What is it, small batch select? But anyway, just saying, like they had both of them available there, and I tried both, and they were definitely different, but I didn't really love it. But do you guys like the drum or the grooves more?
I like them both a lot. But I love all Ardbegs.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point. It's almost like pizza. Like there is no bad Ardbeg, you know?
Yeah, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
I haven't had them side by side. I have had both of them, and I can't tell you. I don't know which one I would prefer. They're both good.
Maybe I just wasn't in the right.
Radically different.
Yeah. Well, of course, they're radically different. That's a good point too. But I don't know. It wasn't my thing that day. Maybe I don't know. I was unimpressed by the grooves. But everybody I know told me I was wrong, so I feel like I must have missed something.
I've never had the grooves, but I did really like the drum.
I think I like the drum too, didn't I? Out of scotches, it's not saying much.
For a peated Scotch, yes, which you're not a fan of in general, but yes.
Oh, you'll get there. You'll get there.
But when I had the drum, I knew this is going to be controversial. This is not going to go on everyone's raving about. A lot of people are going to be on the fence. Some people are going to be positive. So I just knew because it's kind of weird.
So I almost feel that way about the Ano. And I feel like that's where my misconception or my bias or whatever you want to call it is coming in, is that I'm expecting an Ardbeg to be heavily peated. And I need to stop that because I think I'm missing out on some of the goodness that is like the or the grooves or the drum by expecting something different. So.
Well, I think the is intentionally part of their portfolio to be a little bit more introductory, less smoke, and a little sweeter to get people their foot in the door with Ardbeg. I think that was intentionally.
I think you're probably right. I know you're right. But so let me ask the audience here. For those of you that have tried the grooves, the drum, and the what do you think as far as Ardbeg goes? Is it something that you want? Do you want Ardbeg to be only peated? Do you like them exploring kind of everything that they do? Yeah, I mean that's it. I'm just trying to get a little interaction. So finish the 15. What else? What else are we drinking?
Well, I got both the grooves and the drum out to compare them.
Oh, go for it. That actually would be very interesting.
And I was just gonna say, I just grabbed my drum and I'm popping this for the first time right now.
Wow, I think I'm the only one without it. I see you have the fire and cane behind you, Chris.
Yeah,
well, my two
favorite that crack open, but I decided on the drum since we're talking about it. So
I really love the Ardbeg 10 and the Ardbeg. I did enjoy the drum. I did like the grooves, but I still go back to the Korviekin. I love the Korviekin.
Oh, that's
standard for sure.
Yeah, that's my favorite by far from Ardbeg.
Korviekin and Dark Cove, my two top.
Oh yeah, Dark Cove.
Oh yeah, Dark Cove. Yeah, Dark Cove is unreal. Yeah,
but the Korviekin's more affordable and more available.
Thing. Yeah.
Yeah, the drum is way sweeter than the grooves for sure.
Yeah. So one thing I talked to all of these guys about prior to the stream starting is that at some point tonight, I wanted us all to open up a bottle. Now I know Matt is doing kind of the taste test of both the grooves and the drum side by side. I'm interested to see what he comes up with. But after that, just so you guys can have a minute to think about what you want to choose, I want us all to open a new bottle of any type that you want and just kind of let us know what it is, and we'll talk about it a little bit.
Boy, this drum definitely smells rum cask. I'll say that.
Well, I hate to end it on that note, Bill, but I was actually just staying till 9, so I'm gonna head out.
No problem.
All right.
Well, you give us an extra 15 minutes.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Of course, Scott.
Thanks for coming.
Bobby and Sam, nice to meet you.
Take care, Thanos.
Yeah.
Scott, see you later, man.
Thanks, Bill. Later.
Bye.
Yeah.
All right, the rest of you, I'm keeping around. We're all drinking more whiskey.
Yeah, we can play still.
All right. So the drum has a significantly longer finish and really actually overpowers the grooves pretty significantly when you do them side by side, which I was actually kind of surprised considering the color on the grooves is so much darker than the drum. But the finish seems, but proof-wise, it's 1% different, so not even 0.4. So,
Matt, what's the finishing in the grooves? What's it finished in?
Yeah, I kind of forget myself.
Let's see. I think it's just because they use the groove barrels. I don't think it's finished.
That's the only difference.
Anything. It's just they use those wave stave barrels instead.
Okay.
And I think that's the big difference on this one. They're both great whiskeys. They're just totally different. But yeah, I'm shocked that the drum actually keeps on going longer than the grooves. So it's a good comparison.
Okay. Well, thanks.
Yeah.
Now we know.
Doing that actually, because honestly, I was always just a little curious because I never bought a grooves. I never reviewed the grooves, and I haven't bought the drum yet. I might end up doing the drum closer to when our big day is, but we'll see what happens there. All right. So I chose the Ben. I might be saying this right. Wrong. Ben Romach 10. Space Side single malt Scotch whiskey. I know nothing about it other than the 43% ABV. So they cared enough to go a little bit beyond the 40% that they had to. This is actually just little plug for myself here. On Patreon, once a quarter, I do a Patreon pick style bottle. And I say once a quarter, I've done it like twice, but I got to be better about that. Anyway, so this was the one that was chosen this year. Or sorry, this quarter. So I'm going to be reviewing this one very shortly, but I wanted to open it up on the stream and see what we got. So what do the rest of you guys have?
So I've got something I've never tasted. The only thing I ever did with this, the only thing I ever did.
Gosh.
Yes.
They're my favorite person ever.
So
punishment.
The only thing, so I did an episode on whiskey and Coke, and so I still have never tasted this straight. And so I compared, Jack Daniel's Old Number 7, which actually was the winner, and I did a Crown Royal. I did this one, and I did something else. I don't know what the other one was. So I've actually never tasted this straight, and even though it's already been cracked open, you can see I didn't get too far, and I wasn't planning on it. I was never planning on reviewing it. I thought maybe I could donate this to like homeless people on living on but anyhow, we'll see how it goes.
All right, I'll allow it.
Mike M, who's I didn't see if he's in the chat tonight, but he usually would refer to that as hobo tranquilizer.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, by the way, Robert's here from Iron Root.
Oh, Robert, you missed it.
Hey,
We were
Robert.
talking all about you. Good luck tomorrow with your release of the Icarus.
That I opened one of the bottles you gave me from my last visit, my recent visit.
Yep, I was drinking the Harbinger earlier as well. I love that he shows up. Like whenever I talk to these craft distillers, I always tell them like you got to be all about social media because it's the way to be, in people's mind. And Robert's doing things right. Like, a good product, and he's being engaged with the audience that wants to buy his stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Robert's is the hoss completely.
Yeah.
First thing I'll say, on the nose, it's already better than the Johnny Walker White. I haven't tasted it yet.
Doesn't take much.
I have to strongly disagree with you, Eric.
They both suck. Let's be honest.
They both suck. I agree.
Well, next time we're in San Diego, I got a gift for you.
Oh, Eric,
Molecular whiskey.
I'll be out there in June if you're going to be out there.
I would
Do
rather
it, Bill.
I would rather baby vomit than this thing.
So
I'm going to go to San Diego because I love you.
Is that that's the glyph, right? That's not the compass box, right? No,
this
that's
is
the codex or something, right?
no, this is Glyph Molecular Whiskey made in a laboratory in San Francisco.
And it's terrible.
Well, I've been paying money to ISIS to plan to blow the place up. I gave it like 62 points.
I didn't even hide it in the rabbit hole. It's
I couldn't.
so bad.
By the way, Bobby, you've got a hashtag hobo tranquilizer going on.
From Mike.
All right, so what's everybody else opening up?
What we're opening up, I figure if there was ever a perfect channel in time to open up a bottle of Booker's, I was in one of my local liquor stores the other day, and I saw this 2016 Off Your Rocker. Honestly, I don't know if I've ever had this one. If I did, I don't remember. It was a 2016. I grabbed it because it was 3 years old, and on the Whiskey Dicks channel would be the perfect time to open it up.
Well, let me just, in honor of you, I'm going to go ahead and do this.
Oh,
Power Club.
Power glove.
Appreciate it.
more, Bill, more.
That's life.
With the power glove, yes.
If you guys want a competent host whatsoever, you do not want more of that. I already was feeling a little bit when I was talking about the Highland 15.
Oh, Bobby's already cut me off. I asked for more. He's
I
like,
have a 5-year-old birthday party tomorrow. You can keep going.
I've already had a few, so at this point, Johnny Walker Red is tasteless.
Perfect.
Off the
So
rock,
nothing different than normal.
off the rockers are actually a really good batch. So
Oh, good.
So the Benram, well, actually, I shouldn't jump in here. Matt, what are you drinking?
All right, so your choices are Ilsa Bay or 28-year Spey River. Which one?
I feel like you shouldn't do a 28-year at this point because you've had a few at this point.
I could care less. I'll open anything.
Right, but you're gonna. Well, you know what? Fuck it. Do the 28-year.
Fine.
That's the first time I've heard a Whiskey Dick F-bomb. That just
I
excited
do it very, very rarely. Yeah. I try
I've
to.
been on Discord with Bill.
yeah,
Real entertaining.
he's turning into the whiskey. He's turning into the whiskey thick.
So let's see. Do we got Chris did his, Eric did his, Jason did his. You did your right, Jason. What are you drinking?
No, I'm actually going to open up this Barrel Craft Spirits.
Oh, damn it, man! Sorry, I just I have one too.
Which batch is that one?
18.
Yeah. So 18 is the one that topped in the top 5 at the San Francisco Awards. So
Oh man! All right.
yeah.
Can you hold off on that, and we'll have it together in a minute?
Damn it! All right.
I never expected that we would actually all have so many things that we all had, or that some of us had anyway.
It's because we all have problems.
I know, right? We're all out.
We all have a lot of whiskey.
But when you're on the internet, it makes it okay.
I would say
It's okay.
This is actually kind of like my AA meeting, but with less alcohol.
Something that just occurred to me: anybody who watches any of our live streams should basically skip the first 20 minutes. Just let us get a couple in us, and then we become far more entertaining.
Oh, we know for sure that I go downhill at 30 minutes.
yeah. Hence why you're complaining about me putting the brakes on.
Yeah.
See, I think that would be so much better.
Mhm.
Although I did notice you
I
lost.
do too. That's when I become really
Sam right now has no credibility because she threw out her card at a Dunkin' Donuts.
Right, threw it away.
And she did it sober. That's the worst part.
So now, Sam, what is your Dunkin' go-to?
I am very boring. I am an extra large coffee with cream and Splenda.
That is not boring. A medium regular is boring.
Is that a donut?
Yeah, where's the donut? We're talking about donuts.
I have diabetes.
Okay, never mind.
For real.
So I'm
That's pretty good if you don't
regular.
eat any donuts, Sam, because most diabetics I know, they just eat sugar all day.
Well, those are the type 2 diabetics. She has type 1 that she didn't bring onto herself.
Steve A's got a point there. Sorry, I'm just pointing that out. All right, so Jason, what'd you end up picking?
What do you mean? I wanted to do the barrel. I'm waiting for you.
Oh, you're okay. All right, sorry. Sorry, I misunderstood my own.
Sorry, my New York came out a little bit there.
What the fuck you talking about? Waiting on the barrel proof.
Yeah, come on, pour that friggin' shit. Come on,
Yeah, put it.
pour it. Good. Call your mother.
Hey, I'm drinking here. All right. Well, I guess what do we want to cheers to here?
Cheers to further success for all of our channels, guys. Everyone's doing amazing jobs. What can I say? Like Chris, Bourbinsane, even Erik, you're somewhat new coming into the bourbon world and the whiskey world with your channel. You're almost at 2,000 subs now, Erik. Whiskey She Wine's growing fast. Whiskey Crusaders also growing fast. I mean, a lot of people in this chat are pretty. A lot of people on the stream are pretty new, and you guys are doing amazing stuff. So, cheers to all of you, and keep growing.
Cheers to getting my tax return. Now I can go buy some more whiskey.
Cheers to bourbon balls.
Yes.
Cheers to everybody that's watching us.
All right.
Absolutely.
Cheers to the audience.
And rabbit holes.
All the man muffers in the chat.
And rabbit holes.
And rabbit hole.
Cheers to me not being the one on the stream drinking Johnny Walker Red.
Thank God.
I will drink to that.
Yeah.
Cheers to rabbit holes and bourbon balls.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Bill, next time we got to do an all bald live stream, and
Who else?
voluntarily or
Daniel would be on. Yeah, we could do bald bourbon balls.
And no pants.
That might be a different. That might be like a
pants.
video.
That's a red tube video. That's on the red.
Red tube.
Yeah. So basically, cheers to everything we've talked about tonight.
Yeah.
So Matt Balley is asking me how this Booker's is, and
It's the tits.
it's yeah, Sam really likes it. Yeah,
Really
it is.
Sam, I've decided that I like you.
That's a complex answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For real.
That's not the first time I've heard her say that. So I know that's when she likes a whiskey.
Right. Because any other time she says, "I don't hate it."
Yeah. It doesn't
Right.
Sam has the best descriptions though ever. The best one you came out with. It smells like what was it? What'd you say? The dentist office?
The burning dentist office.
The burning dentist office. Yeah.
Maybe Ardbeg smelled like a burning dentist office, which, if you think about it, is a pretty good description.
Right.
I think if you guys do, I think when you guys do your first round of T-shirts, that should be on it.
Yeah.
So you bring up an interesting question. What is the weirdest descriptor that you guys may have used at one point? Or not even weird, maybe let's even say like proudest, like something that sticks out in your mind. I'll go first, right? So I was drinking a Lafroig 10, and I think it was Lafroig 10 anyway, and I compared it to licking a log the morning after that you have a campfire and that you like threw water on the fire and just licking the log. So
I think I said once that man was. Well, I didn't know this at the time until somebody pointed it out afterwards. I said that it felt like there was a frat house rager going on in my mouth. And then someone who was from Scotland said rager means boner. So you might want to reword that. And I was like, I thought rager was like a crazy party, like a wild ass party. And he's like, no, that's a boner in your mouth. And I'm like, okay.
So how about you, Jason? You throwing anything weird out there?
Trying to think. Like Chris mentioned it before, I equate everything to food. I think the weirdest thing that ever reminded me of anything was the first time I had a Boonhaven. When I had the 12, I explained on my review that my grandmother used to make this sesame seed candy where you just take sesame seeds, toast them, and then she would take these red wine grapes and she would cook them down in a pot until they got syrupy sweet. And the way it permeated the entire house, and that's what you smelled. And then once she threw the sesame seeds in there, you got this, I don't know, it was just such a reminiscent smell. And that was the one thing that really, it's not that it was anything, I didn't think that anyone could really relate to it. But it's one of those whiskeys that just brought me back to that time, and I really kind of appreciate it. That's why I think I'm such a fan of Boonhaven now.
That's awesome. I actually really like that.
It's a great story about Boonhaven.
Yeah.
Recently, one of the most challenging whiskeys right off the bat that I was like, I don't know how to describe this, was the Balcones Baby Blue. I was really kind of caught off guard. Nothing specifically came to mind. It didn't seem like something else. So I kind of wrote down what I thought it might kind of be like, and then I watched several different other reviews, particularly Rex and Daniel, and then Scott and Bart, and that's kind of like when I started to go, yeah, they might be kind of on this, but I still think it doesn't taste like anything else. It just tastes like Baby Blue. But you can go if you have a Trader Joe's and you can get some blue corn tortilla chips. That's kind of like I get a little bit of that in there, but that's like saying blue corn tastes like blue corn.
Right.
It doesn't really help a whole lot.
The schnozberries taste like schnozberries.
So, you ever heard of a schnozberry?
I want to read off a couple of these answers in the chat because they're pretty good. So one was campfire sex. That was apparently I don't know that I want to smell that.
I don't know what that tastes like, but I can imagine the smell.
I can definitely smell it, but I don't know.
Yeah, no one wants to smell that.
Hashtag licking the log. Moldy wet rag, which would be the James T. Kirk bourbon, which I remember actually reaching out to those guys because they're nowhere near me, right? Like, and that's one of the things. Like, if I can't get my hands on a bottle, I usually ask the people to see if they'll send one over. All right, so then we've got
that's really good.
cornfield burned down with dirty socks as accelerant. That's descriptive. 1,000 bees stinging in my tongue. I would guess, Sam, that's probably towards the beginning of your.
Oh yeah, I think so. A lot of my first ones were pretty good descriptions. I had so many I really don't remember.
Yeah. Mike M pointed out another one that she did. I don't remember what it was, but she did describe something as a dank vampire basement.
Yeah. Yeah. Another one was Nightmare Before Christmas.
The guy
from Nightmare Before Christmas giving me the middle finger inside my mouth.
Jack Skilling?
I don't remember what that was either. I think it was Scotch, if I had to guess.
So when I hear damp vampire basement, why do I suddenly think handcuffs are involved?
Well,
Because
Wow. Huh? Huh?
Actually, one of the channels that unfortunately Scott left, but Scotch Test Dummies when they would before I ever got into peated Scotch, when I would listen to them talk about it, freaking Bart just cracked me up with some of his descriptors. I loved him when talking. I had never had a peated Scotch before, and listening to him talk about it, I feel like how can anyone on this earth enjoy that? He would say it's creosote, it's tar, it's like licking a log off of a fresh fire, but it got rained on. I'm like, what the hell? Burning fire.
In an ashtray.
Yeah, and now I'm like, yeah, give me some of that.
Yeah,
Yeah. Now I'm like, where's the Ardbeg? Yes, I want some of that.
Some of the best has to be like Springbank is like a bloody iodine-soaked bandage. But it tastes amazing.
Yeah,
It's disgusting. It tastes great.
I tried the Springbank 18 and I thought it tasted like I've never tasted motor oil, but I'm positive if I did, that's what it would taste like.
No, it's way better. It's so good.
Motor oil?
Yeah, another weird one I got was on the old overhaul. It was 1980s Topps baseball cards. You know the crappy gum that came in there with the baseball cards?
Yeah.
That's what it tasted like. That old crappy gum. Like 20 years open later, when I bought these cards, that's what it tasted like.
It's like
that's interesting. That's interesting because some of the bourbons I've tried recently reminded me of. Do you guys remember bubble tape?
Yep.
Oh yeah, good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. If you open a fresh canister of bubble tape, it's got the bubble gum, but then it's got like that sweet powder on it.
Yep.
There are some bourbons that remind me of that. It's really it's really strange. It's really crazy how your mind associates.
That's bizarre.
It's totally bizarre.
Yeah. I remember actually one of the things that when I first started this channel, actually, this is a good segue here. When I first started this channel, I remember reading a descriptor of some whiskey, and I even think I called this out on like my second or third video, as describing a whiskey as tasting like birthday cake. And I remember thinking that was just such a joke at the time. And then like 3 years later, I wish I could remember what it was I was tasting. I was like, that actually tastes like kind of the crappy vanilla frosting that you might buy like out of a can or whatever, like that you'd have on a birthday cake. And I was like, oh my God.
Oh my God, Bill, look, this barrel 18,
right?
It's vanilla frosting.
Let me try this again, actually, because my palate's shot at this point. So
it really is. It's vanilla frosting.
I think I'm gonna have to move to some peated whiskey next in order to get anything. All right, let me see here.
So Beaujolais, I know I had to bring in wine at some point, otherwise I wasn't really here. So Beaujolais Nouveau, which undergoes carbonic maceration, has a bubblegum characteristic, and Gary Vaynerchuk uses that baseball card bubblegum character to describe Beaujolais Nouveau.
I'm convinced that half the words you just said were made up.
Carbonic maceration sounds like the reason he had no pants on.
So bubonic maturation, what was that?
No, carbonic maceration.
It just sounds terrible.
I feel right now, Eric.
I would explain it to you, but you'd lose half your audience.
Oh man. All right. Let's see. He's speaking Dothraki. That's good.
Wah.
All right. So do any of you guys listen to music when you're drinking whiskey? Like
all the time.
Yeah.
Totally. All the time.
Anything in particular, or I know you mentioned earlier that you kind of switch up your music taste quite often.
It's kind of I have music going on in my when I wake up, I immediately have music in my head. When I'm at work, people know I'm coming down the hallway because I'm humming, singing all the time. I've always got music going on, and even if nothing's turned on, I've always got music 24 hours a day. I used to think maybe my fillings were picking up some sort of FM radio waves, and somehow channeling a radio channel, whatever. But I've always got music in my head. So everything from Vivaldi to Metallica to Ozzy Osbourne to Rush. I'm constantly listening to music, or even country, Johnny Cash. But when I'm doing Texas and I'm doing bourbon, I tend to go a little bit more country in my music. When I'm doing heavy peated whiskeys, I tend to go super dark heavy metal.
I like that. Now, just because you brought up Johnny Cash, can we just talk about the song "Hurt" and how?
Oh yeah,
like I couldn't imagine somebody doing it better than Nine Inch Nails did, but Johnny Cash did. Like so good, right?
So when I told Sam that Johnny Cash covered Nine Inch Nails, she's like, "No, Johnny Cash is older," and I'm like, "Yeah, he's older, but Nine Inch Nails did it first." And she's like, "No, Johnny Cash did everything first."
This was a legit fight, and I'm embarrassed about
it. It was, and
I lost.
Yeah.
Stupid.
that being said, I do love the Johnny Cash version, but I got to go against you on this. I like the Nine Inch Nails version better.
Now, have you watched the Johnny Cash video? I'm guessing you have, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The feeling that goes with it is amazing, but just the song itself.
And just how hurt he is. He lost June.
I know he died of a broken heart. I know.
Well, I think for me, and you might have a good point, actually, Bobby. If I have to be honest, you might be right. But when I think about it, and I watch the video, and I know that he died like really, really shortly after, that's what puts it over the top for me.
I agree.
Yeah.
Team Dick on this one.
Team Dick.
Dick team on this one.
For me, I equate Johnny Cash with my dad because my dad listened to a lot of Johnny Cash, and it's kind of like Johnny Cash. I always felt like he was like my uncle. You know, someone was around the house and somehow related to my dad, so kind of like an uncle. So I very much have those sort of personal ties to it. But Johnny Cash is also somewhere he's in a niche. You might call him country, but he's really in a niche by himself.
Yeah.
He doesn't, and he can play with the rock and rollers. He can also go with country. And one of my other favorite bands is Rush. I'm a big Rush fan. Is another band that's in its own little niche that doesn't fit with metal or progressive or whatever else. But I get in a Johnny Cash mood, and I just go today, particularly Monday. It's usually on Monday. I go, today's a Johnny Cash day, and I'm listening to Johnny Cash all day.
I agree with you, Eric. So I've got several Pandora like channels I listen to, and the only time I really get Johnny Cash a lot is if I'm listening to like the 70s like outlaw country station, like Hank and Willie and Waylon. You get Johnny Cash in there, but he really doesn't necessarily fit that. I mean, you're right. He is on his own. And he's great.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure. So I got to point out, Eric, that I do have your coin readily available. Yeah. So
that coin is almost as shiny as my head.
Eric,
hold on.
So when I drink whiskey when I'm actually playing my drums. Actually,
really? I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, I will do a little bit of a pour. I'll set it aside next to me and put on my headphones, and I'll start playing. Normally I do play a lot of Rush, so Eric Waite and I are huge fans of Rush. I know that.
Nice.
So
yeah.
Yep. As a drummer, is that mean Rush? Is that because
Neil Peart?
Neil Peart.
Yeah.
Neil Peart's basically my god. So
he is fantastic. So I have actually. So Jason, you long shot. You might be aware of a guy I work with is in the top Rush cover band called Lotus Land.
Yeah, I know exactly who they are.
So Chris Nelson, he's the lead singer. He's a guy I work with. Actually, him and I are like, I would say exceptionally good friends. Like we joke all the time. When I first started at my current job about 6 years ago, we ended up sitting next to each other, and we kind of bonded over drawing pictures about the lady that sat next to us that was extremely annoying. And he's an artist actually, but just like a graphic artist by trade. And by doing this, him and I, we got a really good friendship. But I later found out that he was this like rock star, and it's interesting that so many people love Rush, because I never really had much to do with Rush. Like I heard their songs, I heard Limelight, I heard, what is it, XZZY, whatever.
YYZ.
YYZ, yeah, thank you. Yeah. And like they're good, but I never really had any particular love for them. But then once I found out his passion for it, I listened to a bunch of their stuff, and I was like, holy crap, these guys are amazing. How have I never listened to them more, But,
well, it's because they were very put down by the intelligentsia in music. So
Well,
they were, because one thing most music critics hate, and they say this a lot in some of the documentaries I've seen, is they really don't like progressive rock. And Rush was very much kind of pigeonholed as progressive because they changed style so much. But for me, I thought that's what really drew me to Rush, because if you listen to their old stuff, it's very different from their stuff that they did in the late 70s to the 80s and then even into the late 2000s. And I mean, they had very specific types of music periods and different things that they did. So for me, that's very interesting and very transitory that they did. And, I love that about them.
Well, there's something that actually is similar to Rush, that's similar to being a whiskey tuber, which is there are certain things you can do as a whiskey tuber that will get you more noticed. And I'm working on trying to have a balance in all these things. But one of the things that Rush never did is try to fit it into a time period that'll make it playable on the radio. Led Zeppelin had some similar issues with some of their songs. If you have a song that's 15 minutes long, it will never play on the radio. And in a similar fashion, if you have really long songs, really long guitar solos, whatever else, and it isn't pop that'll immediately stick in your head, then it's not going to get airplay. And that's what Rush didn't do, is that other than the only album that they made that had the intention of getting more airplay was 2112. And again, a lot of that still doesn't fit on the airwaves. But they were also a touring band, but also a band that relied more on word of mouth than anything else for their success. So philosophically, I really, really like Rush. I've been a big fan of theirs, but they're all something which every time I listen to them, I get something a little different. And that's, if I find a whiskey that every time I go back to it, it's a little bit different and it doesn't fit in any particular tight niche, that I find a similar to that as well.
Yeah, I mean, Caress of Steel almost killed the band because their record company said, "Hey, we don't, what the hell are you doing? What are these? What are these long ass songs that we cannot play on the radio?" So
Bastille Day, Bastille Day.
Yeah, and they went back to them and said, "Hey, make some songs we can play on the radio, or we're done with you." And instead of doing that, Rush gave them the finger and made 2112. Yeah. And that's really what started their cult following into what they then moving pictures. Yep. And then the rest was history.
So I have a question for both of you guys, and I guarantee you that you have not seen this, but there's a band called Ninja Sex.
I saw it.
Did I link it to you? So anyway, there's a band called Ninja Sex Party, and they did a song called 6969.
I was in that video.
Which very much appeared to be a tribute to 2112. And I was just curious if anybody here has seen that video.
Honestly, no.
Including the audience here. Just it's the kind of thing that you would have seen if you were a gamer and like you're on your yourself. So I'm gonna totally off topic. I'm bringing up the Brooklotti here because I'm finally.
I love that stuff.
This point of my night to move on to something that I'll be able to still taste. Now there was a point earlier where I took out all of the Glencairns that I had, and I said, "There's no way I'm gonna go through all of them." I have 2 left.
You can never have enough Glencairns. You really can't.
You really can't. No. We always end up watering more.
Oh my gosh, it really, for sure. Like you really can't have enough, especially if you do a tasting at your house.
Yeah, then people take them on you, and it sucks.
Yeah, right. That's true. All right, so here's a question for you guys. That one sucks.
Here's a question for you guys. This one sucks.
Here's a question. Dumb.
No, there was one in particular that. Oh, okay. So here's a good one. So, what was your first premium whiskey purchase that was over $100 that you wouldn't hesitate to buy again?
Oh,
35-year Longmore.
35-year long. How expensive was that? Holy crap!
Well, thank God it was an independent baller, so it wasn't that bad. It's like $250.
Did you say lawnmower?
Longmorn.
Oh, they said lawnmower.
No,
That 35-year-old lawnmower. That's a bad.
Hey, nothing goes down easier than that sweet, sweet lawnmower whiskey.
we call that motor oil.
Yeah.
Got some fresh grass and some motor oil.
So,
Boy,
not to Eric. Wait, I think the Joseph Magnus is right at about $100, and yeah, I'd say that's a fabulous one for $100 that I'll do every time.
I get for 80, but that's a rarity. But yeah, generally I've seen for 100, but I was actually able to get for 80.
I don't remember what we got. I brought the cigar blend down. If you want to have some.
Yeah.
Dalmore cigar, is that what you said?
No, fuck no, we don't do
Excellent
cigars.
choice.
No, I brought this Joseph Magnus.
The Joseph Magnus cigar
Magnus,
blend.
okay,
This,
good
this
choice.
is my jam. I absolutely love this stuff. It's kind of gonna taste like water right now at this point. But
Oh, so yeah.
but-
So when we reviewed it though, Nancy Fraley wrote like literally like a page long thing on it. And I felt bad because
she was explaining to us what the difference between batch 11 and the other batches were.
yeah,
it
and
was
I
like-
went on this
and-
whole tirade in my video about how cigar blend was the dumbest fucking name for a whiskey. And
she kept
stupid.
calling it the ashtray whiskey.
Yeah, I'm like,
and,
who names it after ashtray whiskey? This is dumb.
and then on
But I
top
really
of that,
did like
on top
it.
of that, we were drunk in the review.
Yes, we were drunk in the review.
I love doing drunken reviews.
That's because you didn't have to smoke
But I-
cigars with Nancy to do it. That's the problem.
But she was very nice. Like
She
she
was.
was
She
so
was-
sweet
she was
and
really nice.
Yeah.
I hate editing myself when I'm drunk doing a review. But I just looked at it, I was like, well, I'm not going to re-record this. But
Yeah.
I know. We
What
have
is the laziest way possible that I can
a,
fix this?
Yeah. We have a Booker's 30th review that we did probably 6
we did.
weeks
And
ago.
it was after we did
It
the
was
cigar
after we
blend.
did that,
So
and
we
that
were
was
drunk for
drunk.
the cigar blend.
And-
It was enough we could put that one out, but the Booker's,
Booker's
30th
30th,
was
like I'm inaudible during most
can't
of
even
it.
understand
like,
what she's
I'm
saying most of the time.
Because I don't know.
It's like we're so sloppy. It's not even
Funny.
funny.
Yeah, it's not even funny. When people watch me, like, fuck you guys. This is terrible. You guys are lazy.
Yeah.
So I don't think it'll ever come out. I don't know.
I
Yeah.
remember the first time that I was like that was Bullet. I did the Bullet, the regular Bullet bourbon, and I did the Bullet 10-year, and then I did the Bullet rye, and I did all three of them in one night, and it was I want to say it was episode like 7, 8, and 9 or something like that. It was like really, really early, so I certainly didn't have any sort of tolerance built up. I didn't have really. I wasn't good, right? So I remember editing the rye and being like, oh my god, this is like barely usable. Fuck it, ship it. You know, like. It's,
Yep.
Yeah, I remember. I think I filmed. I think it was honestly 5 reviews in a row, and they for some reason I did all barrel proofs. I don't know what I was thinking. Like literally, the fifth one, it was like there was a cut every like 15 seconds to try to. I had to re-say words over and over during the fifth review. It was terrible.
You have to like dub your own voice over yourself, like after the fact.
I tend to get tipsy on live streams over because reviews I'll shoot and edit and be done with it in one night rather than trying to shoot multiples if I can because I'm afraid of that fact. But
yeah,
I remember one.
Don't get me started on live streams.
Jason, I gotta say this is something I've said this to Sam, and I love your videos. I'm not knocking you, but so when you do your reviews, right as you start to take your drink, you cut away and you go back and you start describing it. And I always said, like, do you think he like cuts away because he has this like this? He just goes num 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 or something like that every time.
So he's like, I'm not showing that to anybody. He's like,
No, actually, no, Bobby. I do this. Ready? I go like this. I do this. Here we go. I go drink, and then I go.
Something like that.
right. I'm so glad we know this.
I'll tell you exactly. I'll tell you exactly why I did that because I got so many complaints from in the comment section that people said, I don't like hearing you fucking chewing and swallowing whiskey.
you call that the horsed?
I was gonna say horse, man. It's like
Yeah. So even though I have my mic set up differently, you don't nearly hear it as much. I just cut that shit out because
Just so you know, and when I watch your videos, that is what I picture now. Num 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 num.
Yeah. Anytime, bro.
yeah, I cut that part out, but
So when I'm sipping and smelling everything else, you have the video in your editor, and then you can see the sound underneath. I actually cut and drop the volume every time I'm smelling and tasting. Otherwise, you'd be able to. Particularly in allergies, it gets really. I have allergies like 365 days a year, but particularly when allergies are at the worst, that's when it's just, I can't. It's like nails on a chalkboard. I can't listen to myself.
Yeah.
So there's two things I want to point out. Number one, it's just from the chat in general. I love the fact that there's so many people, so many names I'm seeing here who have been here since we started, and I know that they've drank as much as we have because they're all equally alcoholics and they're having a great time. And I can see it from the comments here. People talking about motorboating whiskey.
yeah, hashtag motorboat whiskey.
There was another question that actually came up, which honestly, I'm a little curious myself. People want to know, Matt, why did you start your collection and your channel?
All right, so collection because I've liked alcohol since I was 5 years old. Started making hats for my grandfather, and it was a requirement in my family.
That's not a breeze by thing.
No, at 5, it's a good time to start in your life to like alcohol. Learn how to make hats for my grandfather and 7 and 7s for my other grandfather.
Okay,
so
hold on.
Then
Pause.
Okay.
What did you have when you were 5?
It was Crown, Vermouth, and
oh
bitter.
my God, you're so much luckier than I had Budweiser when I was like 8.
Me too.
Terrible.
There's pictures of me as a baby holding the Budweiser can.
My grandmother gave me Sambuca when I couldn't go to sleep when I was little.
I have a story about Sambuca, but I'll say
Nice.
Yeah, Zambuki.
All right.
You loved going to your grandma's house, didn't you?
I do. Yeah.
Mama, can we go to grandma's house?
I go to grandma's house. She gives me good stuff to taste.
Yeah. For some reason, every time Jason was at his grandma's, he couldn't sleep. I don't know why that was.
Well, now you know why. Between the Sambuca and the motorboat and the wine, I had
Exactly.
Hey, Swami, thank you very much.
Swami.
And Dan, I appreciate that from earlier too. We were in the middle of a conversation. I didn't want to interrupt. All right, keep going, Matt.
All right, so basically that's when we started drinking. And so we've always had bars in all my family's houses. If we went to a house that didn't have a bar, there was probably something wrong with that family. We shouldn't hang out with them anymore. And then basically the day I turned 21, I went to the Class 6 at Goodfellow Air Force Base, which is out in San Angelo, Texas. Bought the cheapest crap of every kind of alcohol there was. And I bought like Old Crow because it was cheaper than Military Special. Shows you how good it was. And then basically since that day, that's 16 years later, it's just grown and grown and grown. And now it's one of the largest in the state. So
what I want to know is, you have to take out a second mortgage in order to pay for all that,
right? Well, it's over, 16 years. I mean, it's not like it's been all, this year.
Now, are most of your bottles unopened or are they open?
No, most are opened. I like to drink.
I would hope that they were opened.
No, there's at least 1,000 open here.
I think we should move the
Oh
A.
my gosh.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Well,
That is
okay,
the
so part of the
appropriate
thing is we have events here, usually about once a month with our whiskey club as well. And so not only do we have usually a brand rep in, we also will open just whatever the hell I have around here. And then people bring crazy crap in here that like, oh, you haven't had this? Well, let's bring this in too. Mm-hmm. And we drink everything under the sun.
Matt, I'm sorry if this sounds weird, but can I sleep over?
Absolutely. Come hang out.
Sound weird at all.
Sleep over. You can't leave.
Responsible.
See, and Bill, when you come down to Iron Root, it's only an hour and a half from Iron Root. You can come here and you can spend the night. It'd be great.
I feel like
you
if
have no choice
up there, it would be worth coming and visiting.
Absolutely.
So can I interrupt you for a second? I want to tell everybody a little bit more detail about the first time I met Matt. So you know how when you go to a hotel, a bellhop will bring like that little what do you call it? Like a cart, like a bellhop thing. I think that's actually what it's called. I think that's why they're called that. It's like, it's got a little thing on the top and it's got wheels on the bottom and whatever. Matt had that full of whiskey.
Yeah, there was like 40 bottles of whiskey in that cart. We broke the elevator.
He is a single human being carry. And Matt brought that just to share with everybody. And Matt offered me, was it 40 or 45 year?
45-year Glenlivet.
45-year old Glenlivet. I hadn't even spoken to this guy, and he just said, Bill, do you want to try a 45-year-old whiskey? I was like, I do.
Matt is a gentleman and a scholar. Yeah, what are you gonna say? No? What's
no shit. No one wants that.
Now that's a little too old for me.
Yeah.
You know what?
No.
Yeah. If that was a 44-year-old, I'd say yes, but 45.
So this is Matt and I have had a great relationship ever since, and it's been awesome. But that was a fan. It might be one of the best starts to a friendship I've ever had in my life. So
yeah, and actually those nights, the reason I started this channel were like, hey, you're like, have a ton of whiskey and you like talk about it a lot. And you're pretty much fun personality. Why don't you go start a channel? I'm like, okay, why the hell not? And so about 4 or 5 months later, we decided to start a channel. So we kind of did some research how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's more or less how we started.
I met it with Matt at Iron Root, and he gave me 20 samples of Texas whiskeys. And I want to say this: I'm not gay, but he does have pretty eyes.
$20 is $20.
Oh my God, Erik, you shouldn't say that without pants on.
I'm just gonna hold up the rabbit hole for a minute here.
It's weird.
Good news! I found another clean Glencairn behind my rabbit hole.
Everybody wins.
That's what she said.
You want to try some bourbon balls?
Oh, this is good.
Oh man, did you guys hear my story on Halloween when I told about when my grandfather killed my rabbit?
Not.
This is his Easter story.
Yes. Yeah, I told the story on Halloween last year when I had this rabbit named Rocky because he had a big black eye. And, my grandfather raised him in the backyard, and I was a young buck, and I didn't think any different. And he gave me one of them because I fell in love with him, and I took him to my mom's house and had him there for a few months. And then I took him back to my grandfather after he put on some weight. And then the next morning, he knocked on my door, and then he said, "Jason, a big dog come, your rabbit dead. I'm sorry." he shut the door. That's how he woke me up. He shut the door. He left the room, and I was left there stunned and still trying to wake up. And then when I woke up the next morning, I went downstairs to get my bike, all sad that my rabbit was dead. And I went to go to school on my bike, and I saw my rabbit's head laying in a pan with 5 other rabbit heads.
Oh no!
Wow.
Yeah, my grandfather killed my rabbit and ate him.
Yep. I can't even right now.
Oh, right? I literally can't even.
I can't even.
Yeah.
Is that the grandfather that was married to the grandmother that gave you Sambuca? Or is that on the other side?
Exactly. Yeah. It was an interesting upbringing, but I learned a lot.
Oh, I want to give you a hug.
I learned many things. I learned how to make pasta and never leave my pet rabbit with my grandfather.
The pet tastes good at least.
Yeah. I would say that's a good trade-off because the chances when you're going to have a rabbit are not equivalent to the amount of times you have to make pasta. Oh, by the way, I have to point this out because I know after this stream is over, Bobby and Sam are going to talk to each other. and they're going to say, "How did this go?" And Sam, I want you to talk. I want you to realize that your comment about Satan's burning dick has gotten you more subscribers in this stream than anything that Bobby has said.
I think that was a heavy metal band back in the 80s.
Right.
Or if not, it should be.
We have gotten 10 subscribers since this started.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
So thank you guys.
Thank you, Satan's burning dick.
I would guess that you're going to see quite a bit more over the next couple days.
I've had 10 unsubscribes.
Well, Eric, those are just people wising up.
In the bottom half.
And the dick comes out.
The dick comes out. The dick is out.
So I've switched over to the Jefferson's Ocean Voyage 13.
Which voyage do we have?
We
don't fucking know. We've only drank it once. It was stupid.
It wasn't
Just
stupid.
kidding. I don't remember.
Bill, is that the cast strength or the regular one?
Good question. This is 45%, so not cast strength.
All right. I just got the cast strength Voyage, I don't know, 17, 16, whatever the hell they're up to.
No, I gotta say, I heard about the Jefferson's Voyage almost as soon as I started this channel, and that was. Wait, let me back up. So when I first started this channel, one of the things that intrigued me about whiskey was the fact that everybody seemed to have a story. Now, as I've explored whiskey, I've realized a lot of them are bullshit or exaggerated truths. I love what Jefferson is doing because you can't fake that, right? Like they're literally taking these barrels and they're sailing all across the world and they're doing what they're doing. This is actually very good bourbon, but their regular shit is terrible, right? Like the regular Jefferson, this is okay as a beginner bourbon, and I even have it on my beginner bourbon guide part 2 or whatever I did. But like it's okay, but the Voyage is actually pretty good as far as bourbon goes, and I like that they're doing a thing that's not. It's not just MGP with a story, but whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, I've had a few different versions of the Jeffersons. The presidential I've had, and it just never resonated with me. A couple of the cast strength Oceans I've really enjoyed, but I agree with you, Bill. Some of the other ones they just don't really resonate. It's just it's an easy sipping bourbon. I get it, and some people do like it, but even the weeded one that they came out with wasn't really nothing really stood out about it. I agree with you on that front.
I have the cast strength. This is the Gilligan's Island edition.
It takes you 3 hours to drink the bottle.
First of all, Eric, you should write that. You should write that in Oceans, because if they ever came out with like a stranded Gilligan edition, that shit would sell for millions.
I know. But that it has way too much saltiness to it. So on its own, I'm not a fan. But if you have another bourbon that's kind of nothing unique about it, just add a little bit of this to another bourbon. It brings a little something to it. So I use it as a mixer with other bourbons.
That's a shame, because Jefferson's Ocean cast strength is about a $90 bottle. So to use it as a mixer, it says something about the bottle.
It's cool.
That's crazy.
It's interesting, but it brings something a little bit more interesting to other bourbons, I would say. If you want to add a little bit of briny saltiness to it, that's kind of the point where I use it.
The salty note is very interesting, especially if you get a bottle. That's why some of the Ocean cast strengths are really good, but it has to have a very deep, rich caramel note, because the saltiness, as you know, works very well with it. The ones that aren't so caramel forward, it just kind of falls flat.
Right.
But if you find the Jefferson's Ocean cast strength that has a really nice caramel to it to go with that salt, it is a very good. It's a pretty good pour.
So people want you to say, Jason, they want you to have your Jefferson's Ocean cask strength salty bourbon balls. So
yes,
well,
is that a thing? Let me get it. Well, hold on.
All right. Question for Chris from Bourbinsane: how and why did he start his channel?
Well, I started my channel
I like your
end of last year, and really the reason was just because I was watching everyone else do it, and they were. I mean, I loved watching reviews so much, so I really wanted to try to jump into it myself and start doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I was starting to get a lot more into bourbon at that time, and I was getting better at picking out notes. So I figured, why not? And my wife wasn't too happy because our baby was due in like a month and a half. But you gotta do what you gotta do. You know, you gotta do it.
Yeah,
Priorities.
Your first.
Priorities.
You have 2, right?
Yep, have 2 now. One's almost 2 years, and then the other one's about five months now. So still very young.
Yeah.
And Chris recently had his wife on, and I would say, he definitely did really well.
Yeah. I actually,
Without a doubt, I'll take his coverage by a mile.
Yeah,
I appreciate that, Eric.
so actually, between Chris and Bobby, what for the audience here, which I'm guessing is about 100% men,
100.
except for Christine Deems or
Deems and Monica.
Monica, yeah.
Yeah.
Monica too. Okay, so 99.8% men. What do you think is a good way to get your wife into whiskey?
Start a YouTube channel. And make her be on it.
Something slightly less effort.
Yeah, no, honestly, I've been into whiskey and I enjoy. I couldn't even get her to smell it, and if I had to like fight to get her to even smell it, there was no way she was going to taste it.
No.
And she pushed me. She wanted me to do a YouTube channel, and I didn't, because I didn't feel like I could do as good a job
As what you already watched.
I couldn't do anything better or different than what you guys have been doing. And so when I was like, fine, I'll do it if you do it. And I knew it'd be different. And it is.
Yeah. And so, and I've told the story before. So we're laying in bed one night. And he's like, I'm going to do a YouTube channel. No, you're going to do it with me. We're going to call it I Whiskey, She Wine. You and I are going to do it together, and I'm going to make you try whiskey. And I said, fuck you. I'm not doing that. That sounds like a terrible idea. And then like the next day, like he just was like, I mean, just like, we'll just do one video, like just try it one time. And I'm like, all right, but I'm a bitch the entire time. And he's like, hence the name. So
right.
We did it. And the first video was stupid. Actually, it was 45 minutes long. We ended up cutting it into 3 parts because we talked about like, I'm like, I got 3 kids and it's dumb. Like it was terrible. Like everybody else's first video, it's stupid.
Everybody's first video is terrible.
Tomorrow will be our 3-month anniversary of doing videos, and I look back at our early videos already, and I'm like, God, they were bad.
Yeah, they were.
Only been doing this for 3 months.
Tomorrow will be the 3 months from our first video.
Wow, honestly, you've made a huge impact in 3 months. I'm impressed.
Well, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. We try.
Hey, honestly, I didn't expect it to be a fraction. I didn't think we would ever get to where we are.
I thought we would have our friends who
just kind
of were nice and subscribed to us. Too.
Yeah,
you guys provided a niche that's not that I don't really have seen too much on YouTube. It's Bobby's obviously very into bourbon and whiskey and different things, and Sam, you are obviously not. So for him to have you try these things, first time, not only being kind of a new person and trying these things, but also trying them with your husband and trying and going through these different flavors and some of the descriptors that you use. I mean, it's great stuff. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And we were
why I thought it was so interesting doing the.
Go ahead.
So that's why it was so awesome doing the live stream with you guys last week, because bringing my wife into it, but it was the first time I had her really get into trying whiskey, and doing it with Bobby and Sam. It was like she got a different perspective than just me telling her, like, look, just try it, just try a sip and see what you think. She'll never agree to that, but if someone else is telling her to do it, she will. So.
Yeah,
your wife was a champ. I had so much fun watching her do that, and she first off, I know Chris, you've seen our early videos, and Rachel was so much better of a sport than Sam was.
So much better. Her face. Yeah, she held it in a lot, but I mean, yeah. So I would say, like, I think bourbon is going to become the new wine for women, like really, like seriously, but it is not something that you're going to try the first time or even the 10th time and be like, man, this shit tastes good, because it literally took me probably 50 times of you making me drink it And even drinking it drunk before, I was like, you know what? Yeah, now it does taste like cinnamon and not asshole. Like,
I believe it's actually
that
Satan
was like,
burning
and
dick.
one day it just changes. So, and I don't know, you just have to keep doing it. Like, that would be my best advice. You just have to keep drinking it. And one day it will not taste like shit.
Now,
I think in my, just a lot of the people that I met in the whiskey, the bourbon world a lot of them are, a lot of them are women. A lot of the women are coming through with amazing palates, amazing sensory skills. It's incredible. And, it's more of a testament to where bourbon and whiskey and Scotch is going. It's a lot more women are getting involved, not only in just the kind of being an ambassador aspect, but being more involved as far as tasting, distilling. It's incredible. And, I hope it just keeps going that way, because the more women I meet, when I go to Kentucky, when I go to and meet with distillers, there are more women working around there than I ever thought, would have such amazing palates. And I'm really impressed by them. And I'm learning so much from them. It's incredible. I had an interview with Elizabeth McCall, Woodford Reserve. She was absolutely brilliant. She was so cool. Like, when you talk to her, she was like, oh, I have a horse and I love Woodford Reserve and I like to do this, I like to do that. And then you ask her a bourbon question and her mind just switches and it goes to, well, the lignin layers of the barrel take out the flavor for the vanilla and the caramel. I'm like, holy crap. I'm like, you're blowing my mind right now. And she, she's so knowledgeable and so incredible. And I don't see anything else but amazing things coming, more women getting into the bourbon world. And actually, to remind me, I just found out that Pam Hallman from Michter's has retired.
Oh, yes. Yeah. She just did, like, this week, like at the beginning of the week.
Yeah. I had mentioned this on my live stream, and I was really, I've always thought of her as an incredible whiskey palate, a whiskey nose, especially with ryes, with Michter's, what they do. I mean, her taste and her palate and what she creates is absolutely amazing. So I know she's staying on in some specific, she is still playing a role at Michter's, but, her contributions, I think, have been incredible.
I've always found rye and Islay whiskeys to be some of the hardest to detect the subtleties in, because it's such a strong.
Well, it's it kicks your ass the first time it's hits your mouth.
It's hard to pick out small notes amongst a
powerhouse.
Such a resounding big.
It's like 95% of what you're getting is the nose and the taste from the rye or the Islay. And then you really got to dig to get the rest of the stuff.
It's kind of like the heavy Motorhead, and someone is playing a cymbal in the background.
Like, oh yeah, on like beat 8 and beat like 14, I get the cymbal.
If you've ever been to a Slipknot concert, there's literally a guy that he plays a keg with a baseball bat.
He just beats the shit out of him the entire time. Yeah, so awesome.
From all the Slipknot songs I had heard prior to seeing them live, I had never noticed the guy playing the keg with the baseball bat. And then once we saw them a couple times,
now you hear it.
And you notice him because he puts on a show. And now when I listen to him, I hear that.
You hear the keg. You do hear the keg.
You notice a guy playing a keg with a baseball bat.
No, you're funk it.
Yeah.
But he does that in all their songs, and you actually hear it.
Yeah, I will solely pitch. I did not know a fucking thing about Slipknot, and I went to a concert with him. I would go to 100 more Slipknot concerts because you just stand there the whole time, and you're like, "What am I watching?" Like,
right?
Fascinating. So,
if nothing else,
the
shows are
go to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so speaking of women in whiskey, we have ambassadors come here pretty frequently. And actually, my best ones that have come all but women. And they've flown in from all over the country. We've had them come up from Atlanta. We've got one coming in July from New York for us, which is Steph Ridgway, who does an amazing stuff. We've had one come from Atlanta. That was Shorts for Bruichladdich. And another one from McAllen. Actually, two from McAllen came in. and Highland Park that have been just amazing. The women that do stuff. Because my mom was here. It's funny for the tasting. She's like, "So who's going to be the person that's the brand ambassador?" I'm like, "The girl that's over there. That's the brand ambassador." It's funny. They're like, she's like, it happens all the time. It's like, yeah, she's really, really good at her job. You should listen to her. It's not a guy that's here.
Following on that, so Heather Green, this is her book. Whiskey Distilled.
Yeah.
She's a whiskey sommelier. She was in New York. She's now moved to Texas. She's now at Ben Willem Distillery. It's being run by 3 women. On my next trip back to Texas, I'm definitely going to go there. But anyway, really, really, really good book. This is a woman who super knowledgeable about whiskey. Great book. And 3 women together doing whiskeys there down in Texas, and I think that they're filling a niche, and I think they're showing that they get something else to bring to the table other than just the all boys club of whiskey.
Yeah, that's like on our channel. Like we have Sarah. Sarah's by far the 3 of us the best knows. She just picks out stuff me and Will can't pick out. She's just really, really good at it. But the funny thing is, for getting your wife into whiskey. So I took my wife to the whiskey vault back last August on the day before the opening, the Crowded Barrel, and we tried a bunch of different stuff, and we found out that peated Scotch is by far her favorite whiskey.
That's funny.
Like Octomore is like her absolute favorite.
Wow.
And she's like, Bourbon and rye is too sweet for her.
I will say, if anybody wants to get their wife into it, you just have to keep convincing them to try it, and eventually they will get there. It's kind of like I remembered in college when I was like, I only want to drink Smirnoff Ice. But when I got to the frat party and the only thing free was beer. So me and my roommate, we would literally take our Natty Ice or whatever, Busch Light, and we would hold our nose and just back and forth, like just take a drink. And then eventually it didn't taste that bad. Same concept with whiskey.
So just hold your nose and suck it up.
And eventually it's not going to taste that bad. Go to a frat party.
So notes taken, just force my wife to drink whiskey. Just
Yep.
Yes.
Make her.
That's the way to do it.
make her.
I don't know why, but when I hear forcing a woman to taste something and eventually she'll find out she likes it and it doesn't taste that bad.
Take it easy, Eric. Take it easy.
Right. Sorry about that. I just heard a random huge bang upstairs. And I ran upstairs because I'm thinking of one of my kids just rolled out of bed and hit the ground, and neither one of them was on the ground. I have no idea what caused the noise. One of them was crying, so I put her back to sleep. That was fine. I have no clue what that noise was.
Still don't know.
That's the worst. You'd almost rather know.
Been there, done that.
I'm fine. Go whatever. So everybody seems okay, so I'm all right with it.
Yep.
Bill, how old are your kids?
So Matt, I was thinking what you should do
5 and 3
is you should have every single ambassador come at one huge event, and we'll all just fly down and do some huge whiskey event, like a whole weekend or something.
Actually, that's a plan.
Really?
That would be awesome.
Let me know.
Be invited, please.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, Matt, I would definitely fly in for that. Absolutely.
Yeah, we actually plan to do a big event with a ton of our ambassadors, and there's so many more freaking coming the next year. It's insane. I can't even keep up with the list. It's like, can we do an event with you? Can we do an event with you? I'm like, yeah, but I can do one a month. That's about the max. And I haven't done one in a couple months because my daughter had surgery, and then I went to SOM school in Austin. So I have sometime in May we'll have one, but I have to figure out which one's going to be the lucky one.
Right.
I just wanted to throw it out there because I got a question from Richie Z. My Off the Still series that I just mentioned with Elizabeth McCall, they were wondering when my next one was going to be. I do have plans to meet with Master Distillers over at Peerless and also Wilderness Trail. So those will be my next 2.
Very cool.
So I have a question for you guys. Japanese whiskey.
Oh.
Now, Eric,
not that one.
You seem to enjoy the Suntory whiskey.
It's
the Tokyo in particular.
It's simple. It's not bad. It's simple. And it is what it is. $28. That factors in there. So it's simple. It's $28. and it was enjoyable in making a highball. That's about it.
Okay. Real quick, Santa Cruzan, thanks for stopping by. So with the Suntory whiskey, I've drank very, very little of this, as you can tell. I was just so underwhelmed. But here's where I have trouble. When I'm thinking about the price of a whiskey versus the quality of a whiskey, I always have trouble finding that low point of price versus quality, right? So actually, I was talking about this earlier today. So if you want to think about a person who wants to get into whiskey, think of like $50, right? You don't really want to buy anything under $50 if you want to enjoy whiskey. Now, there's plenty of things that are under $50 that are actually pretty good, but in general, you're not going to get anything like super high quality for under $50.
Right.
I guess what I'm getting at is like Suntory whiskey might be good for $28, but it doesn't mean it's good. It just means it's good for $28.
So context is everything. So, for example, there are wines. I know, I have to bring in wines. So on the left bank, on the far west side of the Loire Valley is Muscadet, and the wines are super simple. There's not a lot of complexity there. There's not a whole lot going on, and they're the perfect wine for shellfish. The context is the place is along the coast, near the ocean, seafood's available. That's its place. And so if you drink it by itself, you kind of go, meh. If you have it with shellfish, you're like, damn, this is perfect. And so context is everything. And so they don't say on the label of that whiskey, this is for making highballs, but that's what's intended for. And I think the same thing for Johnny Walker Red, and Roy Aquavite said the same thing. The context is that it's not meant to be consumed straight. Or you can do it if you want to. I would say that's its place.
So with that, I would say we did a live stream with the Bourbon Junkies recently, and we swapped samples and kind of did them live. And they sent us some stuff they liked and some stuff that they didn't necessarily like, but was interesting. And so receiving a sample for free, and I tasted it, I'm like, this is interesting. I like it. But then hearing them like, yeah, no, I don't like it. And I think, yes, I agree. And I'm kind of piggybacking on Eric's context thing. Like when you buy a bottle and you know what you paid for it, that's gonna factor in without a doubt. If you got a sample for free or you got a bottle for free, then you're trying it. It's a little more. I think it is. You kind of take that factor out. Like the only 3 Japanese whiskeys we've done, we borrowed all 3 of them. It was the Suntory, Hibiki, and Nika coffee grain. And so for me, I borrowed them, so price didn't matter. And I still to this day couldn't tell you what they cost, but I felt like the Nika coffee grain was so much better than the other 2.
Yeah, like hands down better.
Price didn't matter. I borrowed them, so.
That's a good point. Actually, when you don't pay for stuff, it does make it a little bit.
Big difference.
Yeah, it makes a.
But when
I'm having trouble typing this at the point.
I feel like
somebody asked which Illinois this is. It's the 66. Sorry. Anyway, good.
No, that's
too much. If you would ask the creators of Suntory Toki or Tokai or whatever, Taki, whatever.
Is it Toki or is it Taki? I always assumed it was Toki.
I don't know.
I say Toki.
It's probably Tokai or something.
But Tokai is a Hungarian wine, so you can't say Tokai. But I just did a video on why is there a shortage in Japanese whiskey and what market play they're doing, what are they doing with the whiskeys in order to fill a niche. And what they've done is they've had a big push on marketing and branding it as highball. And so they have special glasses. If you go to the Whiskey Fest and there's all the various tables, you're not going to find the Suntory Toki being served on its own. What you find is a machine in which they are making, and you get the funny little glasses with it, the highball. They even put that as a highball in a can. I can't find it here in the United States, but in Japan, you can buy that in a can. You can get out of a Coca-Cola soda dispenser where you put in your couple bucks, whatever. You can get it in a can. And I think that's its intention, that's its purpose, that's its context. And so if you're drinking that by itself, imagine if you're taking, pepper. Oh, this pepper, it's too much. Well, it's not. Pepper's not meant to be eaten.
Right.
It's meant to be added to a whole lot of other things, right? And I think it's the same thing with that whiskey, even though they don't say on the label, this is for blending.
Mm-hmm. Now, see, that's where common sense makes that true. But when I'm reviewing a whiskey, I always review it as out of the bottle.
Right.
And you're completely right. I would never drink a Toki or there's a few other options, usually bourbons, that I wouldn't think really should stand on their own. But when I'm reviewing it, I always make it stand on its own because it's kind of a baseline, right? But Toki might be one of the first ones I've ever found that really, like Johnny Walker Red actually might be a good example. Everybody that comments negatively on my Johnny Walker Red episode, they are like, it's never meant to be drank straight. I'm like, well, that doesn't matter. It should taste okay straight. Otherwise, it's not accentuating the.
It's about the way you like your whiskey.
Right.
Exactly.
Except the Glyph molecular whiskey, for pouring down the drink.
Yeah.
The only context for this is pouring it down you're flushing it down the toilet. It has no good context.
Toki, we did a review on it a couple of weeks ago. It's fine. I mean, for the $30 it costs, I mean, it's not terrible whiskey. It's not great whiskey. I mean, the problem is the next jump up from Suntory is the Harmony, which is $60.
Right. It's
a big jump. There's nothing between it.
Right.
Right. So, but the Toki is a song in the G chord all the way through. That's all it is.
Yeah, no doubt.
And that's what it is, It's
my first Japanese, and I'm like, it's not great, it's not bad. But then after that, it's like, well, it's in the cabinet probably forever. Right. Someone's going to finish it Sunday. It's not going to be me.
So, but would you buy an album that was nothing but cowbell?
Cowbell is awesome.
No, but sometimes in other songs, I need my cowbell. I need more cowbell. And so it's kind of plates.
I gotta have more cowbell.
More cowbell.
More cowbell. What everybody else listens to. Like I know the Rush people. I want to know what other people's music.
I should bring my camera into my drum room and play you guys some drums.
Do it.
There you go.
I think you should do that while the rest of us talk. I think you should go get all set up and let us know when you're ready.
Absolutely.
Nothing would make me happier. I want that more than I want to breathe.
I agree. Jason playing his drums is my bourbon boner. So
all right. Let me get it set up.
All right.
Tag bourbon boner.
Jason,
you guys
come back to Jason
because I want Sam to get a bourbon boner.
Watch out, Bobby. Watch out.
We got Erik with no pants.
The bourbon boner, and the other one is having the Devil's Three-Way with Ralphie and Aquavite. That's my second that I'm really hoping for, but I know they're across the pond and I can't get to them.
You know what? If it happens, I'm cool with it.
They're like,
I'll allow it.
I'm allowed top 5, right?
We'll be here in October. I mean,
I've been live
I'm not saying those two don't know what they're talking about, but those accents, they're leaning
right. Am I right? I don't know what they're saying. I don't give a shit what they're saying. I just want to
like Roy.
Those accents, I'd probably do a Devil's Three-Way with them.
Exactly. And y'all would too. Y'all are right on the same page as me. Don't ask me.
Sam, I have a question for you.
Yes, I have an answer.
Specifically from the audience. We got Richie Z asking about 20 minutes ago, Bill, what is Sam's favorite whiskey since she started tasting whiskey 3 months ago?
What are you talking about? My devil's. Okay. So,
what is your favorite whiskey over the course of the 3 months?
Well, right now it's this Booker's that I've been drinking for the last hour.
Oh man, Sam, you and I.
Same team?
Yeah.
I've been drinking Booker's now, Bill.
I haven't done 2019-01 yet, which I've heard is terrible.
Yeah. Teresa's isn't great. It's just out of the Bookers, it's not the best.
I'm gonna try it tomorrow at my brother's. We'll find out.
It's mediocre.
I've heard it's not great.
What do you think?
I'm hoping for better.
Bobby would remember more than I would. Honestly.
I would say the best reaction that Sam has given she liked the first thing that she said she liked was
Joseph Magnus.
No, was Isaac Bowman. Port finish.
Yeah.
The first thing that she said she liked that. The first thing that she liked, but she was drunk, that she gave a reaction that she really liked it was the Joseph Magnus cigar blend.
Yeah, but I was drunk when I did that.
That's surprising.
Yeah. So,
but now I can handle anything.
Yeah. Now the only thing she has poured on her own, not on camera, was a green spot Irish whiskey.
Yeah.
So here's a question for the audience here: green spot, yellow spot, red spot. Anybody at all? What is your favorite?
We only know green spot, and I love it.
I like the brown spot.
You would. Erik, wait, you would.
Erik, you're the best. You're my
I'm gonna say I recently did a review on the red, but yellow's still my favorite.
Yellow is by far my favorite of the three.
I think some of the special wine cast finish greens are better than any of them. Like the Barton, that one is just unbelievable.
Polka dot. Sorry, I'm just reading the chat. It's
Can I just totally change gears for a second?
Can we just do one thing? Okay, so let me tell you a story.
Mike M brought this up, and I just we did it on a live stream. We had 12 people watching, so
this is good, guys. Okay, so Bobby Zeller is best friends with a bar owner. If you've watched our videos, you know.
I went on a store pick.
He went on a store pick
at Wild Turkey. We did a Russell's pick,
and Jimmy Russell is known as the elephant. Do you know why he's known as the elephant?
Let me set this up better. Okay. So I went on a pick, and when I got back and I was talking to one of my friends, and she's like, oh, did you meet Jimmy Russell? I was like, yeah, actually I did. And she's like, the Elephant Man. And I'm like, what do you mean the Elephant Man? And she's like, he's hung like an elephant. And I'm like, first off, how would you know that? And she said, look at any picture of the man. And I said, I took a picture with him. So
she said, look at it.
She said, look at the picture.
Look at the picture.
So I'm just going to show you guys this picture.
We're going to show you the picture.
Y'all tell me what you think.
I want to see this. Yeah.
You guys seeing this here? Here, go to. I'll tell you.
Well, that's just old man balls.
Yeah, no.
Look at the elephant.
He's got a Pringles can in his pants.
There's an elephant.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
That's really good.
So Jimmy Russell is hung like an elephant.
Yeah. Yep.
And Erik Wade just came 1999.
Jimmy Russell, Jimmy's got a bottle of Rare Breed down there, I think.
I don't quite know what to say, Erik, but I appreciate it.
Right? So I was disappointed that I was shaking his hand in that picture. I'm like, I feel dirty now.
Yeah, you got that little feeling because you were touching that big wang.
I was touching him while he had that thing attached to him.
Think about it.
Is intimidated. Yeah.
At least he didn't have a boner. It could have been worse.
Oh my god. Yeah. Wow.
That is a legit bourbon boner. Like that was the definition of a bourbon boner.
I think
my first job it was terrible, but the tips were big.
Somebody commented on Erik's donation, said $1 for every inch. Oh man! All right, so Jason, I see you got your drums all set up. I got to take a swig. I'll be right back.
All right, yeah, I'm setting up here, guys. So, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
This is gonna be awesome.
And so, what are you gonna play? Are you just gonna jam out, or?
I'll do a little bit of a solo for you guys. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Awesome.
Sam's bourbon boner is raging right now.
Normally, I have to pay extra for this kind of content.
No, yeah,
I don't know how the audio or the sound's going to come through here. It might be a little bit.
Doesn't matter, Jason. Just start hitting those motherfuckers.
All right, I'm gonna play a quick little beat here and stuff, and you guys, I'm gonna come back and you guys let me know how it sounds. All right,
Yeah, and I got a question for you when you get back.
All right.
Let me just point out he's doing this in his socks too, people. In his
All right. Did that sound like really loud?
That was awesome.
That was just
That was
a
good.
Yeah, that
I
sounded
heard that while I was taking a
I
leak.
practiced for 10 years. I couldn't do that.
I couldn't do that sober.
Whatever.
I couldn't do that drunk.
No way.
I'm surprised I could do that right now. So okay.
It's funny. Like, I mean, in all transparency, so I'm taking a leak and I hear it through the wall there, and I'm like, as I'm going to the bathroom, I'm like, that's so much better than I could ever be.
Yeah.
I want that life.
I get quick question. So obviously we're big Neil Peart fans. Who are your other drummers you would say with the top 5 that you really, really like?
Buddy Rich.
Yeah.
Who's Buddy Rich from? Like, pretend I know nothing because I know some, but I don't know that name.
Big band.
Yeah, he was a big band drummer that just was just unfreaking real.
And there's some videos of dedications of Neil Peart to Buddy Rich on YouTube.
Okay, Jason, I'm just gonna ask you this because one of my best friends is a drummer, and he swears that, and I don't know his name, but the guy from Dream Theater is the best drummer alive or ever. Is that?
Well, that's Mike Portnoy.
Yeah.
But he left Dream Theater.
Oh, he did. That's right. Yes.
You did, yeah.
Yeah. Also, John Bonham, of course, was a huge influence. Keith Moon from The Who.
Right.
Keith Moon.
Keith Moon looks like an epileptic drummer. He's really weird.
So I'm going to turn the sound down a little bit, and I'll play a little bit more, and then I'll come back, and we'll get back on the screen. So
what about the drummer for the Police?
You should play something slow, and we should all try to beatbox.
Real quick,
By that, I mean, we should absolutely not try to beatbox.
Nah, maybe not.
Real quick, I got a drummer joke. What has 7 arms and sucks?
Your
Def
face.
Leppard.
me?
And Def Leppard.
An octopus? I don't know.
Go ahead. What is it?
Def Leppard.
Def Leppard.
Oh, jeez.
That's good.
Okay. Ready, guys?
Yeah.
Yes.
You're right. Totally playing it. Yeah, nice. Good job. Nothing makes me happier than the thought that he might be waking up his entire family.
I don't know, man. Needs more cowbell.
Who lives with you in the cowbell?
Man, Erik and the cowbell. Shit.
I got a fever.
It can only be solved.
Oh, you were so good. My bourbon boner's raging. Big throbbing, like
Big throbbing.
That was great, Jason. Good work. Good
Yeah, that
work.
was awesome, Jason. Thank you for doing
Oh,
that.
and Chris, we're joining you. I'm joining you with the 4 Roses.
Yep.
'Cause I don't know my name at this point.
What are you drinking, Chris?
4 Roses, small batch select.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
Hey,
Do you
Bill,
want some?
Bill.
Bill, we'll send you some.
Bill, we'll send you a bottle.
I would appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because I genuinely don't think I'm going to be able to get a bottle for at least a month.
No, that's stupid. Send Bobby your email. We'll send it to you this week.
We have his email.
Well, you don't know my name. So
Put it this way.
whatever you got to fucking send it to us, and we'll send it to you.
Nothing is being sent; it's all being hand delivered in person.
Absolutely mention that you guys did it. If not, then
you don't have to, we don't need the recognition. It's fine. Just you got it from
it's
a
whiskey
friend.
karma. That's all.
Put it this way: you guys are the only channel, at least in my mind, that can compete with It's Bourbon Night, and they're great. I actually really like them.
So you want an analogy? It's Bourbon Night are the Avengers. They're PG. Everybody loves them. We will never be as big as them. We are Deadpool. We thrive on dick jokes.
Yeah, we love
Deadpool a lot more.
Love dick jokes.
I'm
not about the dick jokes. So
the funny thing is, when I saw that this many people would be in the chat, because chats work like live streams work like CB radios. You got to push the button, let go of the button, the next person can talk. It has that challenge. And I thought, well, this many people, wow, I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know about this. But it's been really interesting because the chemistry has been really, really, really good, or the alcohol.
I agree.
Both.
Yes, all of the above.
and there's been no like super egos. Everybody's been having a really good time. Everybody gives everybody else other time to talk, whatever else. And I think it's been really, really good. This has been awesome. I've been loving this.
I completely agree. Actually, I've been incredibly impressed with how much we have not been stepping on each other. It's
and just mechanically, that's challenging.
If
you're in a room where you're sitting around a table or whatever, at a restaurant or whatever, that's easy. But just technologically, that's challenging. So it works really, really. This has been really, really cool.
And we're probably all cocky sons of bitches, so we all want to be on the TV at the same time. So, it makes sense. Like, surprisingly, we've given each other's turns. Like, it's fine. It's fine.
Well, let me put this out there. At one point or another, we had 128 concurrent people viewing this channel, this live stream. That's a huge amount of
we still have 100 motherfuckkers in here.
In only 3 hours.
There's 100 people. I don't have that window open because I don't want
101.
101.
Wow. Well, I think what really helped is you can't talk and drink at the same time. Therefore, it's easy to shut up because I want to drink.
And we drink a lot.
So why don't we do this? We're nearing 11:40. It's 11:42 right now. Let's aim for about midnight or so.
All right.
Let's all pick one more bottle that we want to go for. Anything
we're drinking now first.
Down good shit. Should we do Whistle Pig?
Yeah, Cavalin.
Definitely do Whistle Pig.
Sherry cask strength, single cask.
Ooh, that sounds nice.
We haven't had it.
All right, how about let's back up for a second here. Other than Matt, because he could show us all up.
Yeah.
With Matt.
Something that you want to highlight, something that in your mind is one of the best bottles that you have.
Oh, we will highlight the fucking Whistle Pig because this motherfucker went out and bought a $500 bottle of bourbon and not told me about it.
No,
Sam, I've said it twice now. You're one of my favorite people.
Fine. Let's
right here, baby.
Oh, William Llewellyn? Hell yeah.
This is the but this is the 2016. This is
Joseph Magnus.
This is 135.4 proof. I love this bottle.
Jason, didn't you say that's one of the only bottles you won't share?
All right. Fine.
I actually have shared it a little bit.
Yeah.
But
A little bit.
This is one of those ones
Jason, show me it. Show me your bottle.
Hey, you're married. Be careful with that.
Show me all your bottles.
There you go. There it is. That's the
9
bottle.
inches a bottle.
Yep.
Cute.
William Llewellyn.
Yep.
Yeah, we don't have that.
No, we don't.
No. You're inferior. Jason does drums and has Weller. Fancy Weller.
And he's got a head of hair.
And hair.
And hair.
You know what's funny is I shaved my head since my freshman year of high school.
Yep.
And about a year ago, I just always shaved it. And about a year ago, I thought, you know what, I'm going to grow my hair out.
He wasn't a man bun.
And I found out I couldn't. It like I didn't even know it had receded and a bald spot and all that.
It was an episode like that, actually.
Yeah.
So we went back to bald.
Yep. I'm the same way. When I grow up my hair, it's not impressive. So I just
right.
Yeah.
Well, Bill, the same genetic trait that causes male baldness causes thick, full beards. So
and huge penises.
and huge penises. Right. So there's that.
All right. Chris, what are you drinking?
So I still have the small batch select, but the bottle that I think I'm gonna break out it's Mare Pingree. Now this is the 4 years. This is from Valentine Distilling. I just reviewed this on my channel, but this is probably honestly one of the best 4-year bourbons I've ever had.
I just got a bottle of that, Chris.
Oh, did you? Have you opened it yet?
Not yet, but I'm going to be reviewing it soon, along with the Traverse City bourbon.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. So Mare Pingree is. I mean, I think you're gonna like it. For 4 years, it's really impressive. I mean, let it get down a little bit in the bottle first. But
yeah, I mean, the most amazing 4-year bourbon I've had that's new in the last couple of years has been Wilderness Trail. Amazing stuff.
Wilderness Trail. I'll have to remember that.
Yeah, I think you're gonna like this one though.
I'll check it out. And I see Matt is like stacking like 60-year-old scotches in front of his camera.
Yeah. There's 3,000 fucking whiskeys to go for.
So the question is, Black Prince, the Pullman car from there's only 321 bottles in the world of this one. It's from Glenlivet. It's a cask
Well, of
strength,
course you have one.
55.94, 21-year Glenlivet,
Oh my god.
or a port finish soloist cask from Cavalon.
But that's not the question. The question is, do you have an alarm system on your house?
I do. And I have gun.
I want a detailed answer, please.
So Jason gave me the bourbon boner with the drums, but
Because I know where he lives.
the bourbon boner with his fucking
Guys,
mom.
I have a serious question actually. How many of you guys have thought about or have insured your whiskey collection? Because there are some insurance companies that do that now.
I have not.
No.
No, I have a Smith & Wesson, a Ruger.
I have a Remington 870 that'll put a fucking hole in you.
Yeah.
So,
I agree. I have a.
it's a big fucking hole.
Yeah.
I work in insurance. It's not worth it.
I'm about 6'3" and about 250 pounds, so I'm not worried about it.
Oh, and my daughter's a black belt, so that helps too.
I have a drum set and I'm a 2nd-degree black belt and I have a gun, so I'm okay.
So a lot of my bottles are
in
open.
good
You
shape.
can't sell them.
Do we all have guns?
Yes, because guns are awesome.
Oh my
No,
god,
fuck America.
Bobby has so many guns.
I'm just gonna say, and this is not like a flex or a brag, but I guarantee I have a bigger gun collection than anybody here.
No doubt.
Actually, you know what, Bobby? I wouldn't doubt it with that shirt on.
Yeah.
Yeah, more guns and yours are used.
So that's for the infield.
I spent 20 years in federal law enforcement, and I was a firearms instructor. I don't have a large collection, but I guarantee I can take the wings off a fly from about.
That's all that matters. That is
That's all that
actually
matters.
all that matters.
Eric, you
Yeah.
got it. You're nailing
And
it.
a good shot.
So
I'm a really good one.
this is totally derailing us here, and I do want to get back on topic, but
And most of my bottles are open, so there's no resale value.
I want to point out. So I have a what is it? Winchester deer rifle. It's just a collector's item. My grandfather gave it to me when I turned 21, and he's since passed, which is why it's kind of cool. It's literally the only reason I have an FID license. I live in Massachusetts, so bothering with guns is like
you
a
don't.
hassle.
Glad you have them.
But I still have it. I have an FID. I have a license to carry. I have all the things, and all I have is a rifle. But I bothered getting all the things anyway. So
I have a kind of a serious story here, guys. My great grandfather left me his 1945 M613 Nerf gun.
I thought for a second you were gonna say like a Luger or something.
That is some real gun? Yeah, that doesn't exist.
Yeah, no, the foam on this is so old it hurts you.
It's like a paintball, except for it's Nerf.
Now, so here's the question: do you prefer authentic foam or synthetic foam?
It's old foam. It's just harder than new foam. It's great.
Completely toxic, I'm sure.
Oh, totally. It's like lead in the foam.
Just soak it in Sambuca. It's good.
So, all right. So, Chris, Eric, what are you drinking?
So this is one. In fact, I just returned this last night. This is insanely good. This is the Blanton 12-year-old Burgundy cask finished peated whiskey. If you don't know what Blanton is, anyone watching, it's Edward Dower. When they do a peated whiskey, it's called Blanton. This is absolutely superb. I first originally got a sample of this from the Scotch 4 Dummies when I visited them. I then said, I got to have that. So I got 2 bottles of it. Absolutely spectacular. It's bottled at 57.5.
Have you tried the Barolo cask of that one?
No, sir, I haven't.
Oh, okay. Next time we're at Iron Root, Robert and Jonathan have one. It's fantastic. Have them bring it to you.
Okay.
All right. So,
How did we know what Barolo is?
Jason, what are you drinking?
I whipped out that William Liver Weller 2016 135.2 proof. It is absolutely amazing.
35?
Yep, it's almost hazmat.
Holy shit! I don't think I have anything that high.
Yep.
And I'm like all about barrel proof stuff. That's incredible. All right,
the William Heaven Hill that I bought today is 134.4. That probably is my highest.
Wow.
That's crazy, Bobby, because the 16 I have is only 106 proof.
Wow.
And that's a 16-year-old bourbon.
Yeah. So what's funny is I googled this when I got it. Like we
didn't know about it. We just said
the way it went in, and it was.
And we said, "What do you have?" And they're like, "We got this." And I said, "I want it all.
I want that." And then when I go out and I'm like looking it up to try and find out what I got, and I can't find anything on this bottle.
Yeah. The William Heaven Hills. Even I've done some of the research on it. There's not a lot out there about it, which is interesting. It's the same mash bill as you would find in an Elijah Craig barrel proof or regular Elijah Craig. You gotta have to think of it kind of like a Blanton's or the way Buffalo Trace manages their different barrels. It's just different aging and what they do. Yeah, but whether it's better or not, my 16-year-old Heaven Hill review is coming out, so you have to wait till my thoughts. But
that's fine. And we are,
or maybe after in Hangouts after the live.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So let me pause this for 1 sec because we have a question from the audience, and before I get to you, Matt, because I know that you have awesome stuff. So Richie Z asks a question of Erik: what is the distillery that you're looking forward to most visiting on your next Scotland trip?
Oh, good question.
Springbank. Springbank, and then the second that would be Highland Park. So you're talking the most southern, the most northern in terms of what I'll be visiting. And mostly Springbank, because I also plan to go back next year to do the 1 week class where you're like working at the distillery. But Highland Park because it's also the most northern as well.
Yep.
But that's a good question.
Yeah. All right. So Matt, what are you drinking? I think everybody in the chat is waiting to
car water level route from January 2016. It's at 55.94%. 321 bottles in the world.
Wow.
And it is fantastic.
All right. So out of respect, I would like Matt to drink his first and just kind of talk about it a little bit. 321 bottles is basically like none of us are ever going to see that.
Yeah.
Come to my house. I'll let you try it.
Unless we do the sleepover. This is what I'm saying.
Hey, there's also 2 other cars to this. There's a 20-year Pullman car, and there's another 14-year Pullman car. That's the other routes that they have. So there's 3 to the series. The other two are open, but if you come here, you can try them. We'll open all 3.
Matt, when are we invited?
Yeah,
I know. Right?
You come to Texas.
Matt, I'm coming. I'll be there in October for the whole, for the Whiskey Tribe meetup. I'm going to come like 2 days later to spend at your house and drink.
Perfect.
I'm coming right now.
Sunday. Have a great time.
And for you, I'll actually wear pajamas unless you prefer.
Yeah, you got to wear pants, Erik. That's required. Pants are required.
No, Erik, do not wear
the house.
You make these fuckers figure it out. You do not wear pants.
We want to see those bourbon balls.
You show your balls.
I could wear pants.
I can guarantee you I am not wearing pants.
Or I could wear a kilt and just go traditional.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Rock the kilt.
I'm gonna wear my assless chaps and run my motor.
Jason, you wear the ashless chaps and you play the fucking drums, and you know what? I love it.
So you have to drive down here in your 18-wheeler, Jason, with the drums so you can play in your assless chaps in my driveway.
If I do that, will you give me a sip of your rarest whiskey you have?
Absolutely.
I can make it happen that you get the rarest whiskey.
We're gonna have a damn concert for my neighborhood.
Yes, I'll do it, man.
I'll give you
I think
a
this is really coming
bottle.
together, honestly.
I will play drums and I'll sing, and nobody will be able to hear me. It'll be amazing.
There was a point where I lost control of this live stream, and I think it was about an hour ago.
I think it was about 2.5 hours ago.
Yeah.
Oh God, that hurts.
All right. Well, let's do this. I think we got to everybody. We all have what? Oh, I didn't even talk about mine. So I got the Glendalough 13 Mizunara cask.
Ooh.
I don't know why, but this one has just spoken to me recently. It's really just very good.
I've heard the Mizunara cask really impart a different type of flavor profile. I haven't experienced it myself, but I heard it's really good.
It really does. What I would describe this as is it's very easy to drink, but it's very different than most things that you would try. So either way. So for all of you that have stuck with us for the 3 hours now that we've live streamed, this one is to you. So cheers.
Yeah, we've almost gone
Cheers,
as long with Food Quig.
I don't know if you guys saw that, but scroll back like 5 seconds. Sam was literally just starting to pass out.
That means you have to pour another one then.
Right?
You guys don't know me. You don't know my life. I'm on.
So, funny story about the very first time that I ever really drank to get drunk. So I was 18, and I was my friend Jeff. He was a year ahead of me, and he went to school. He went to college a year before me, obviously, and he had an apartment, and he invited me up to come drink. So most of my early life, I was kind of that like guy who didn't really drink, which is funny because I'm now on the internet drinking. And I remember he bought a ton of Bud Lights, and he was like, all right, we're going to hang out. We're going to drink a ton. We're just going to hang out, whatever. So I had 9 Budweisers. I think it was not Bud Light. Budweiser. And I had 9 of them. And I remember asking him for one more. And he said, if you cannot go get your own, you cannot have another one. Boy, hearing myself drink, I have had way too much to drink.
Hearing myself drink, I've had way too much to drink. That is the quote of the night.
That alone should tell you as much as you need to know. Anyway, if you cannot go get your own drink, you cannot have another one. To belly crawl into the kitchen, open up the refrigerator. I remember rolling over on my side to reach in and go grab another one, and drink about half of that and then passed out on the floor. So it was a good first experience.
First, I want to say I'm not as thick as I drunk you am.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I don't know which bourbon to blame it on, but it's most of them.
Yeah.
All of them.
I have a quick question for everybody. I know we're getting on the midnight hour here, Eastern Standard Time. Before we sign off, I want to know from everyone, what was the whiskey that made you, gave you the boner that wanted you to get into this?
That's a good question.
It's catching on. It's catching on, Sam.
Hashtag bourbon boner or whatever, whiskey boner, whatever it is. But what was the whiskey that you guys had that was like, holy shit, I need to explore this more, and then kind of led you down this path? I want to kind of know from everyone. I guess, Chris, I think you're first on the left. What was yours, buddy?
So mine was actually an Elijah Craig store pick. It was when I was first getting into whiskey, and I said, hey, what's a good, pretty much beginner, like what's a good beginner whiskey? I'm starting to like bourbon a little more. And he's like, hey, try this store pick. I just got it in, and it was so good. Like, even to this day, like that was one of the best store picks I think I've ever had. I wish I would have bought like all of them if I'd known, at the time. But that was really probably the one that brought me in. And then from that point on, I just wanted to try every single other expression to see what the differences were and everything. So
that's awesome. I mean, and Eric, I mean, I know you were into wine. You were wine sommelier first, but what was kind of the whiskey that sparked you?
So, as most people, so right now I should be studying to become a master of wine. That was my goal.
Yep.
So, certified sommelier, French wine scholar, blah 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 blah. One of the units of the wine spirit educational trust diploma was on spirits. Had the Mac 12, you know, from the little mini. I was like, wow, that sent me in a different direction, and I haven't done anything on my wine channel in quite some time. So I don't know where my whiskey journey is going. I'm absolutely loving it, but right now, what my original plan was, I would be studying to become a master of wine, and I'm having challenging going back to it. But yeah, with the Mac 12.
That's awesome. Bobby, well, Sam's still on her journey, but I'm wondering what kind of sparked her. But,
Bobby, you just woke her up when you said her name.
Yeah, Bobby, what did it for you, buddy?
Okay, so for me, so I grew up. I live in Kentucky. Grew up in bourbon country, and I stuck to like standard regular bourbons, nothing crazy. For me, I saw the Whiskey Vault talking about peated Scotch.
It was the Whiskey Vault that got you.
And then so I reached out and tried a Lafroig 10, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so much different from anything I've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I was like, wow, there are like
so many flavors.
There are a lot of different things out there, and that's when I decided to really branch out. Like I would have been cool just drinking my like 3 bourbons for the rest of my life, and that made me realize there is way different stuff out there, and I like it, and I want to find out about it.
Mm-hmm. That was a good call. Yeah.
I mean, having your first peated Scotch from Isla, only having bourbon, will definitely do that to you.
Well, right, and I know like it's like love it or hate it, but for me, it was like the first moment it hit my lips, I instantly loved it. It was.
Sam's hanging herself. Sam, if you could call out any bourbon or whiskey that you've thought, if I know you like wine, but I know you've also had a lot of whiskeys since you started your channel.
I have had a lot of whiskeys, and to be fair, I have to be honest. I am not a wine connoisseur by any means. I love beer. That is my first love. But whiskey cheap beers didn't make sense. So
Sam, if there's a whiskey that you've had so far that you're like, wow, I would like to go back to that, what would it be?
Lafroig 10?
No. I don't.
Yeah, right.
I don't like any scotches for sure. Well, we just went back from Buffalo Trace, which was the very first bourbon he ever gave me on camera, and we redid it, and I really liked it the second time. And the first time, I thought it was the devil's dick. So there's a big difference between even that.
There's a lot of things I think for Sam that we need to
go back and do. Like I did Blanton Gold when I was 2 weeks deep in this journey.
Right.
And
that's going to be the really interesting thing about your channel, because when as Sam's palate is evolving now, you guys are going to go back to whiskeys, and she's going to find new flavors, new.
So we're going to have a throwback week. Going forward, there will be a throwback week every week.
We could do we can do re-reviews for a long time.
Yeah, you definitely too, and that would be great viewing. I would definitely like to watch that. That'd be great.
I gotta say, especially if you guys edit the video well, I think that could be your niche that you guys kind of target is how it evolved over time.
And I feel like that shows people that are trying to get into it
and be like, I'm never gonna like it.
Yeah, right.
You will like it,
right? Where you can start and where you can get to.
Because
I'm really curious now, Matt, because he's had 20,000 years of collecting whiskey. Collection he has.
My new best friend.
Matt, what is the whiskey that sparked this journey for you? I have to know what this was, because it's, I'm gonna guess it's something very something very easy to get. That's what my guess is, but I'm just wondering what it could be.
Johnny Walker Red.
No. That shit sucks.
No.
All right.
Quick
so
answer.
for me,
So happy to hear you say that.
a couple of things got me into it. Buffalo Trace for my first bourbon I really, really loved.
Wow.
My grandfather drank 101 Wild Turkey a lot. I liked that. But the thing for Scotch for me was Lafroig 10.
Really?
Because prior to that, I had 40 Creek, the Canadian one. I was like, hey, this is really oaky. It's really nice. So I was like, I tried like Glenfiddich 12 and Glenfiddich 18. And my dad brought home a Lafroig 10. I'm like, which we pronounced like LaFleur or some ridiculous thing. I was like, hey, this shit is really good. And we probably drank like half bottles between me and my dad one night. I'm like, that was the moment I know I was like, whiskey is the shit. Wow, Lafroig 10.
Two votes for Lafroig 10. That's amazing.
That's terrible.
And it's like, as far as peated scotches go, that's a pretty harsh one to start with.
It is. I love it. It's
I'm with you, brother.
Yeah, when I first started
medicinal.
when I first started tasting peated whiskeys, you know, Ardbeg, Lagavulin, and Lafroig were kind of the trifecta that I went into.
Yeah.
Lafroig for me personally was the most harsh. It was the most cigarette ashy type of smoke. Yeah. For me personally, I still enjoy Ardbeg or Lagavulin over it, but to see you guys say Lafroig 10 is what did it. That's amazing.
That was it's a gateway drug.
It really, yeah. Peat can do that to you. And
it's kind of like the first music band I ever liked was Motorhead.
What's funny is with peated Scotch is for my wife, her favorite Scotch is Octomore 8.3, which is 309 ppm. That's by far her favorite Scotch.
Wow,
badass.
Well,
so which is just, she's like, no, this other shit's crappy. Octomore, that's where heaven's at.
Yeah, coming from a bourbon background, I don't think I would ever really get into peat that much, but peated scotches are the scotches that actually hold my attention more than anything else. It's either peat or scotches that are mixed with both bourbon and ex-bourbon and ex-sherry casks that just have a little bit more depth to it.
For sure.
But the peated scotches for me are just, I mean, I've had a couple Octomores and obviously the Ardbegs, and they are just so much more interesting to me than most other scotches. It's incredible. And to our gracious host, Bill, I want to guess Booker's, but what was it that did for you?
I would love to say Booker's. It was actually Johnny Walker Black.
Wow.
At least it wasn't red.
I remember it was right after I had met my wife, maybe like a year or two after. We had just moved in together, and I've told the story a few times, so I'll spare the story. But long story short, she had said that she really found guys who would like whiskey to be attractive. So I decided to explore whiskey.
It's the whiskey dick.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's how she got her whiskey boner.
That's right.
By the way, gracious is code for intoxicated.
There's a lot of bottles over on this side, and there's not as many as there were over here. Anyway, so I had Johnny Walker Black, and I was like, this is actually really, really good. I think I could make a thing out of this. And I started exploring. I remember buying the green and then a few others, but the black really stuck out to me as a thing that was kind of the gateway for me. And so usually when people ask me what they should start with, I recommend that, and I recommend Buffalo Trace, and depending on the situation. Sure. So.
Yeah, I think that's good, because one of the first scotches I tried before I was even into whiskey was Johnny Walker Black, and I was like, I mean, I didn't like whiskey at the time really, so I was like, meh, it's kind of weird and different, but Buffalo Trace for sure. Like, that was the one I thought was really good. Like, I thought Buffalo Trace was great, not knowing anything about whiskey. And someone's like, get Buffalo Trace. It's solid. It's really good. And
for me, it was actually I started drinking Wild Turkey 101 and really liked it. But the one that really made me think, holy crap, whiskey has so many different types of layers to it, was actually Booker's.
Yeah.
wow.
Booker.
Yeah, my first batch that I had, I want to say it was Tommy's batch.
Yep, that was mine too. Actually, Booker's.
Yeah, it just I think that's what it was. I can't remember exactly, but that was the one where I had a sip of it, and I was just like, holy shit, what am I drinking right now? This is crazy. And that's what made me start exploring different ones. And my first I was talking about earlier how you get to know one specific brand and then you venture out. My first brand that I ever really loved was Jim Beam stuff. So between Booker's, Baker's, Knob Creek, that was the brand that I got really familiar with, and then ventured out from there. And now it's kind of shifted. I still love Jim Beam, but Wild Turkey is kind of taking over that a little bit, and Elijah Craig as well. But you know, it's been the journey is always an amazing thing. That's why I want to know what you guys started out. So I think that's really cool.
That's a good question for sure. All right, so we are at 12:10. I think we've had a awesome night, honestly.
I haven't had dinner yet.
That's probably a good thing, Erik.
Mine for dinner.
So we have had an awesome night. I appreciate all of you guys for being on the stream. This has been way better than I expected, and I'm shocked that we've had as many people hang on as we have. But I guess once you start drinking, movement is secondary. So hanging out, it's been great. So we appreciate everybody here that has been on the live stream. I do want to give everybody just a second to kind of plug their channel and talk about what they do and where to find them. So Chris, once again, we'll start with you because you're at the start of the list here.
Yep. So Chris, Bourbinsane, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, pretty much all the platforms. I do weekly whiskey reviews every Tuesday and Saturday, and then live streams every Friday. So if Bill's not streaming at 9, I'll be streaming after Erik at 9 p.m. Eastern. Otherwise, I'll go at 10 after Bill. So
awesome. Erik?
So one of the things I've been doing in 2019, so mine's Erik Waite Whiskey Studies. I tend to be a little bit more academic, but also I've been traveling a lot, trying to meet up with people a lot. Something I'm doing in 2019 is themes for an entire month. So I've done Isla month, I've done Bourbon month. I'm currently working on Texas month. And then I'm heading off to Scotland. That's kind of what I'm doing this entire month, focus on a particular region or a particular theme, as well as trying to bring on as many guest representatives as possible. And really, really enjoying it. So it's really more academic, exploration, getting out there, visiting people, and stuff like that. So, and anyway, that's what I'm up to.
Awesome, Erik. Erik knows more about whiskey than most of us will ever know, and he's definitely a channel worth following. So check him out. Jason.
You can find me at the Mash and Drum on YouTube. Coming up soon, I have a couple of, if you guys have followed me, you know I have a series called Off the Still that I'm working on. I did my first one with Elizabeth McCall at Woodford Reserve. I have a couple more in the works with the folks at Peerless Rye. Also, a Wilderness Trail, and hoping to get Bell Mead very soon. The guys at Great Fire Distilling. So those three I'm working on to get kind of closer to the distillers and talk about what they're working on in the future. I do a couple of reviews a week. I also do my live streams on Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Usually have a lot of fun with you guys. I am looking into doing some more competitions between a couple bottles. I just started my new series called Double Base, where I take 2 whiskeys, 2 bourbons, 2 scotches, whatever it may be, put them head to head, see what comes out on top. For me personally, just to kind of help you guide, and think about, what bottles to buy on the shelf for you if you're kind of debating between what two that you're looking at. So I got a lot of stuff in the pipeline coming up, and really appreciate you guys and your support, and I really appreciate it.
I would say I'm a Mash and Drum fanboy. Love your channel.
Yeah, we all are.
We all are.
I know, right? I'm waiting for you to come out with a challenge coin, man. You need to do a challenge coin.
Actually, I'll take this opportunity to kind of call that out. I am in the midst of working on my coin. So
Get them out there as soon as you can.
It's coming soon. I also have some really cool hats in the works with some barrel wood on the front of the hat with my
What
logo.
about Speedos? Do you come out with these Speedos?
Barrel wood on the front of the
Actually,
Speedo.
Like a wood, like
Got
a
wood on it.
A nice stave right on.
I'm actually I'm making one.
He calls it the Eddie Russell
Yeah.
edition.
Yeah. The Eddie Russell wild turkey rare breed hanging fruit.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Erik
only,
could really use one of those right now.
yeah, and only Erik Waite's allowed to wear it.
Yeah.
Anybody in the stream who currently has a whiskey coin of any sort, show your love in the chat.
Yes.
All right. Sam and Bobby, tell me what you got.
So
We are fucked up.
no,
You're not the only one.
if
If you watched us, we are not eloquent by any
if,
means.
If you want lighthearted reviews, if you want to see somebody at the beginning of their journey, and then somebody else who
who
is
thinks they're
is
out
still
there,
is still not
aficionado.
is still not an expert. That's us. I Whiskey She Wines.
We're a shit show.
We are married. We love each other. We have good chemistry. We're having a great time doing this.
We use a lot of bad words.
This is
We talk about a lot of bad things. We're funny.
and so we do have challenge coins. They're in the link to some of our most recent videos.
Yeah.
Now I will say one thing again. We are in bourbon country in Kentucky. We have access to a lot of the rare bourbons early, and then on top of that, I have a friend who owns a bourbon bar who lends us a lot of bourbons, rare stuff that you can't get. Or that's hard to get.
Hard to get.
So,
And if you're
so that's
local
what-
and you
that's-
want to hang out, we will hang out. We have plans with Jack of All Blades tomorrow night. We have plans with D Silva on Sunday. We
yeah.
meet up with fans.
Yeah, if you're in
a lot.
if you're in the Northern Kentucky area and you want to have a drink, we are happy to meet you guys anytime.
I need to exchange coins with you and Chris over at Bourbonsane.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll
let's
send you
do
one.
it. Let's do it.
Absolutely,
Eric.
Eric.
I'm with
Send
you.
us your address. We'll send you one.
100%.
All right. So Sam and Bobby, I mean, a big reason that they're on this stream is because, at least as far as I'm concerned, they are one of the up and comers in the whiskey tube community. I think they're awesome. Honestly, everybody that's in this stream is fantastic. So there's a reason I invited these people. There's a reason they're here, and they're worth following. So if
And we need more bold whiskey tubers.
well,
Yes.
Eric, you and I are always going to be, the cream of the crop, the
Yeah.
creme de la creme, if you will.
Yeah, and Bobby can just not be an OG. He's just
Right.
he's in.
All right.
he'll
So
be a-
now, just real quick, Eric, Matt from the Whiskey Crusaders.
All right. So basically, we've been around a couple months. Some of the cool stuff we're doing is we'll be having some more ambassadors in here for some live streams. We actually usually do it with the Scotch Test Dummies. And then some other cool stuff we're doing is we've got 2 distillery tours coming out for Talwin-Caro and Banner, which are both Texas distilleries. And then we also are doing a store pick for Sagamore, which is going to be really cool. It's a 6-year Sagamore, which is MPGB juice, but aged in Maryland. And it's a 110 proof. It's 6 years old. It's just really good. I guess it's a height of it is in a 6th in the warehouse. It's just a really nice thing we did in the last few days. So we'll be finalizing that soon. So we'll actually have Tim Sagamore on here the next few weeks to describe our whiskey barrel picks. So it's just some of the cool things we're doing. We also have a club down here in Texas where we have a bunch of ambassadors come out and try different whiskeys. And so that's one of the other neat things we do is we have our club and do a bunch of other crazy crap that's not on this channel. That's just other crazy shit we do. But it's a good time.
Awesome. All right. And then I won't take too much time, but obviously the Whiskey Dictionary. You guys subscribe to me. If you're on this live stream, obviously you saw it. Pick up these coins. I know it's silly. I got to say it. These are almost out. And I want to do the second batch, and I promised my wife that I will not invest another $500 in doing the second batch until those are almost gone. So if you have not gotten a batch 1 coin, then do so now. Just send me an email at thewhiskeydick@gmail.com. I want to thank everybody here for joining the stream. And I know we've all basically been drinking for 3 hours. I hope that those of you who are watching this in the future can forgive the last hour of this live stream.
Yeah.
Because all of us need your pardon. So
I feel bad for all of you who don't have somebody to lean on.
I'm going to Whataburger.
This is fantastic.
I'm gonna
You got your bookers.
I got an hour. I have needed to pee really bad.
I just
No one wants to see you
peed out it without.
Yeah, I tried to type it, but Bobby just opened our back door to we're in our unfinished basement, and he just peed outside of it. And I was like,
I really wish there was a White Castle near me right now.
I can't say I'm not
Uber Eats, man.
So thank you everybody for joining us here on the Whiskey Dictionary. And based on the way tonight went, I absolutely think that you will see this again. So,
Thanks, Bill. Really appreciate it.
No,
Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great rest of your night, and we'll see you later.
Yeah.